Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1, Episodes 42 through 51. So, I am to go on and state here that I hopefully will go on in the spoiler version and cover all 10 of these episodes, but if I don't go on and do so, more than likely in this same exact day, I will probably break up the 5 episodes into 2 parts. So, letting everybody know that that's going to be a possibility. I will probably have to put on a separate video to kind of repeat some of the early stuff that I'm to say in this video over there. So, with that said, I had gone on within the past 2 days and rarely slept, and gone on and adjusted quite a few thumbnails that more than likely probably didn't need to deserve it upon videos. But I felt good about it. And also, I'd actually watched some YouTube videos. I'd watched a couple videos of Gallifrey Gals. Seems that they are to go on and be a reaction channel that is go on and mainly cover seemingly sci-fi stuff, but then every once in a while there's some stuff here and there that is to dare say beyond the reaction channel. Definitely go on and check them out. It seems that not only are these girls to be attractive, let's say that, because I have to go on and have to be awkward as F through which of ways of talking and saying words. But then also to go on and dare say state that these gals are good people, whether it is to at some points mostly be gals, and also there to be fairly entertaining people when it seems that they are to not actually be crying in certain reactions because they do that at some points, and there is that to exist. So, the only, I think, ever time I actually got emotional was probably during the Sweet Tooth pilot episode of that show. Man, like, I was fighting back within that whole review, just trying to just talk about that and trying not to freaking just the horror of that. But so check out that channel. Go on and watch some Star Trek and or Red Dwarf or Doctor Who reactions and whatever if you are into that kind of thing. But also just kind of check them out because they're good people. And also I'd gone on and watched some Power Rangers Omniverse because I had seen this thing of a roleplay game done with a Power Rangers theme, and I watched the episodes, and I actually really enjoyed the stories that are being told within that whole approach of things. Yeah, like the videos I had to go on, kind of watch chunks of them because really I had to go on and kind of keep coming back because I had to kind of watch the story at most point in order, but trying to get through them and enjoying them. So it seems that that channel is about the same kind of way of which that I am to be as far as progression or whatever is to be. But who knows? They'll probably blow up in probably a day or two. So let's go on and actually do what we are actually meant to do, which is to actually cliff note review and kind of in a very quickened pace way get through these episodes and then go into full on spoilers and break this all down. So, episode 42 is a pig surprise. The real surprise here is that we really don't have much of Pudgy Pig in this episode. Really, to have an actual pig in this episode, mainly to just be Norman. And then also by the end of this episode, we have a Golar and Scorpina Megazord battle fight, which I'm just like, okay, like, so was this just a clickbait to get us in the episode? What was going on here? like this episode just seemed like a throwaway thing that they just put out there, and I'm just like, wow, okay, I guess somebody probably found it to probably be funny or to just be a thing that they saw once. But I felt just so betrayed by this episode to really at some points through some of these episodes, just want to just really give my middle finger to some of these episodes. And this was one of them. This is one of the occasions of me just wanted to shoot my goo. Speaking of shooting my goo, we seem to have a goo fish that is to have Billy be showcasing that definitely a spoonful of fear will make Billy fetally go down. And I mean in the fetal position. Because Billy is to go on and have a traumatic experience with a fish via his younger years. And that is to go on and accelerate even more with a spell that Rita is to cast upon him. And so we, of course, eventually have this episode eventually built where Billy has to go on and face that fear and jump around like a wild man. And, of course, go on and to be able to beat the goo fish of sorts. So, good for him. One of those episodes where I feel it probably, yeah, is a standout episode, but I feel like this episode was just kind of fair, and it was there, so dare say, logically, at least it was better than the last episode. Lions and Blizzards. So we get an episode in 44 that starts off as this like relays thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying this idea, and I'm also enjoying the Gotan monster, which is to be half lion, half goat, and just going on and enjoying that kind of flavor of monster, and also the weird exchange between lion and goat talking at some points. And beyond that, I probably don't remember much else about this. When we kind of go from here, and then in full on spoilers, I'll go on and have like there's also to be that whole trophy thing, but I'm getting too much in the episode. Crystal of Nightmares. So this, of course, to be like a dream sequence thing. If you had gone on and seen the Island of Illusion, basically this seems quite to be fairly familiar. This goes on and reminds me of one, a penthouse forum of some fan fiction going on, because there's some weird pillow fighting going on between the three guy rangers, and like, man, if I start to hear somebody unzip or somebody looks into someone's eyes for too longly, I think I'm just gonna have to bail on this episode. But luckily that didn't happen this day. But then also, there was to have gone on and been a nightmare episode with Dino Thunder that I feel was actually better than this episode. They actually got on and actually had clips that I could actually be entertained in watching, whereas really Crystal of Nightmare is just review of past episodes that I have already freaking seen enough of, because again, this show is not meant to be binge watched. And then eventually all the Rangers at some point become like how Dean Winchester was from the show Supernatural, where he is in fear of seemingly everything. He's being chased by a poodle at some point, and like he is just, dare say, scared. So with that, that could be just fun and entertaining, but really it's just a half-baked meh okay kind of episode. So just, it was fair and it was there. So the flee, to flee or not to flee, episode 46. So come to find out, the guy that wrote this episode was to have been a first timer, never wrote in a Power Rangers episode before, and then wrote this one and went on to just be part of the writing staff, because from time to time they had gone on and had Rangers write episodes, or just rando-esh like people write episodes at some point, because I guess there had been at certain points some people who had long, legivious runs of being writers on the show, and then every once in a while, just randomly find a person that kind of worked underneath a writer and they wrote, and then they just became a writer on the show. As well as also speaking up about that, about the behind the scenes of the show. So we come to find out in the unaired pilot, and this kind of story has been making the rounds anyways, so it probably is not something that you haven't already heard, but I just wanted to talk about here. Come to find out in the unaired pilot, uh, there was who've gone on and been at one point an actor that played the putty that had gotten just so overheated that like this guy was just drenched in sweat. And come to find out, like the people that just worked on the show was just like, oh, okay, well, hey, anybody, like here's $100, get the costume off this guy, and like just be the putty and and finish the filming of the show because that's all they cared about. And eventually, like the guy was in pretty bad shape, but they just let him just like flop around like a dead fish, I guess, and just continued finishing the show because all they cared about was just finishing the show. And I can go on and probably say it's like, well, that was under a different banner or regiment or whatever. Like, but man, there are sometimes that I feel that like people should be before product, if you know what I mean. And that's one of those cases where it's like, man, um, it makes you second guess the uh, the business you get in or the contracts you sign. But that is what it is. So next up, we have the reign of the jellyfish. So this is the time capsule episode where immediately, like when I'm starting to see, like, okay, Zach's coming up and Trini's coming up and Kim's coming up, like, oh my god, they're milking this like a mother. And so we really focus so much so on this whole time capsule thing that nothing else matters. And Rita wants to go on and put her photo in the time capsule because she wants to be a part of it, because she has to be a part of everything. And so that ensnares, eventually, dare say, a jellyfish going on and taking out the Rangers and having a good old time. So, uh, so yeah. Oh, also in the Crystal of Nightmares episode, the only cool thing about that episode is we see Bulk and Skull, and they're manning the Megazord, and that's like the coolest thing. But anyways, so yeah, the Reign of Jellyfish, like that's just an episode that really exists. Um, let's talk about the Plague of the Mantis. One of, I think, the better, or probably even best, Trini episodes I feel in my mind. I was like, you know what? This has like old kung fu like themes within it, and I'm freaking enjoying it. I don't really care. Uh, we go into the whole like honor thing and like having Trini like fight this monster alone away from her team. And I'm like, all right, like this freaking reminds me of Power Rangers Samurai, where we'd have Jaden and Decker. I know that's always the comparison that I always go with any freaking like just one on one. Like that is because that's the best I feel. Like hands down. You can go on and give me your Tommies and Goldars and Jason and Goldars and whoever the heck else and probably Goldar. But really, when I'm to go on and look at a good 1v1 story, I'm looking at Jaden Decker. And so really I enjoyed this story because it reminded me of Power Rangers Samurai, and honestly how most of a Power Rangers episode should honestly be uh, within the early parts of its show. But it ends up also getting ruined by a Megazord battle. And like really, when I'm to start going through and watching these episodes, I feel that any story that they were ever going to have ends up getting ruined by the Megazord battles, and I start to hate the Megazord battles. and to where I'm just like, okay, now I can understand why I never enjoyed that part of the show. But I can still probably go on and enjoy an episode that focuses on Megazord because I'm hoping there's a story there. But yeah, I just don't enjoy the Megazord battles. I don't. It's just very severely repetitive, and like here's where like the story is out the window whatsoever. But yeah, one of the great uh Trini stories, and if you haven't checked it out, check out The Plague of the Mantis. I want to struggle to want to go on and put this in the top 10 list, but I know it's just going to get bumped for other things, sadly enough. Speaking of what's going to get bumped, so you would think with a Tommy two-parter that I would go on and have this somewhere on my top 10 list of episodes and what have you. No. Because neither one of these episodes hold a candle to Green Candle or Green with Evil or most of the other episodes that I have on my top 10 list, which you can go on and see in other episodes that I've talked about when eventually episodes are good enough to deserve that note of note. But none of these episodes are making on that list because all of them are just there. So, dare say we have a return of an old friend. Maybe not in this one, but in the part two for sure. Because we have a clickbaiting thing going on in this part one. And then also it clickbait me because I'm like, man, I've always ever kind of, and I've talked about this already numerous times, how I wanted to see like Power Rangers have parents. Yeah, you see a uncle or a family member here or there, or some rando person that has some seemingly history with these characters and you don't really know why. But like I was waiting for like, let me see the parents. I want to see their faces. And I have to go on and look at these people and I'm like, these are all just like the wish versions of the Power Rangers that they are to be parent to. And really I am to have gotten nothing from these parents, but yet that they are to appear and exist, but there is just nothing really going on with the exclusion of maybe Kimberly's parents, and I will not go on and get into further about that. But if you know the episode, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to want to go on and write that off so easily as just like, okay, well, here's the soap opera part coming in, because weirdly enough, I wanted to at some point in my brain work out a story where Power Rangers can go on and be this like thick, juicy, succulent like soap opera, regardless of whatever it does in the actual show. Like I would really want to go on and make like a Power Rangers soap opera that really needs to go on and mock both soap operas and maybe do some goofy things with Power Rangers within it, but it's just all good and fun. And because really, like at some point, I wanted to go on and just kind of create all these kind of goofy things going on with Power Rangers that we can like enjoy and then just have a good laugh at also. But anyways, because I'm assuming like look at like Tiger and Bunny that go on and make like a reality show out of superheroes. Like why isn't there like Power Rangers, the weird goofy Laguna Beach version of itself? Why can't there just be that existence? But anyways, I'm getting too in the weeds here because maybe you've already been too in the weeds already with me going into 20 minutes about half of these episodes. So again, the parents. What I wanted, but not what I thought I wanted when it delivers it to me, because that, of course, is just Power Rangers so far in general. Of course, it doesn't really deliver what I hoped it could be, because that would be a thing that exists. Also, I'm loving, and I mean thickly, succulently loving, Kimberly within this two-parter. She's going on and finally breaking away from that Valley Girl bubblegum popping version of her, and she is just like in the freaking dirt and the mud, getting her hands dirty, and she is just dealing with this like stuff that's going on with her and her family, and also just dealing with this onslaught of just putties, and her hair is just like all over the place. But she's like, I don't care. Like these putties are crashing and I'm hating them, and like I'm like, you know what, this is freaking like this Amy Jo Johnson episode is freaking lit. Like I'm freaking like, yeah, like good for her to find some range somewhere to be anything other than the bubblegum popping Valley Girl that she goes on and be so often. And so Tommy is to be in the part one, but like if I go on and really honestly tell you that, you're going to give me the middle finger for life. And so I am to go on and tell you that in episode 49, The Return of an Old Friend, the only return of an old friend that actually happened in this actual episode was my left hand going on, and because, you know, an old friend is your left hand, or in some cases, right hand, whatever hand or whatever you are. Uh, and this old friend gave this episode the effing bird by the end of this episode because, man, I call BS. I call BS. And also, like, I'm like, Tommy's hair is in like a ponytail now, and he almost looks like Steven Seagal. But then also, I'm like, but he looks cool. But he looks like Steven Seagal. But he looks cool. But anyways, we're transitioning from green to white here, and so now Tommy has the ponytail while he's the White Ranger. It seems, from what I remember in the show, and then at some point he goes from like the reds and the other colors, and eventually his hair changes or gets wild and out there. Anyways, so but Tommy's more involved in part two. He ends up regaining his power from Zordon, and he seems to be, without giving much away of the part one episode, the last hope of the Power Rangers. And he's to go on and start his story arc journey of every time we see him with all my powers. I'm like, oh my god. We're at this part of Tommy now where he has to go on and mutter the phrases of like, oh, I'm losing my powers. I'm like, oh my god. Like, can we just transition him from green to white? You know, I love green. Don't get me wrong. Like, but Tommy also becomes such a bad ASS when he's also the White Ranger. And I think a lot of people just want to forget about the White Ranger a lot, but I think he's freaking dope. I do. So, part two. It had some good beats in it. Also, while looking at this two-parter, I immediately think about a lot of stuff that was tied to the Power Rangers movie and how it feels like the exact same thing that they did here in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, so with the whole Leap to Our Doom thing, if you guys remember what happens to the parents in that movie, and also the whole like getting together and getting their hands in and saving Zordan, same thing going on within these episodes. So they don't do the exact same thing, but if you're watching the episodes within yourself, you're savoring that flavor of understanding. Or also you were to probably remember these episodes and just being like, yeah, like I only wanted to really care about the Green with Evil and Green Candle, and I forget about this one. Because I would definitely immediately quite understand that. Because if anything, there was a lot of stuff that I remembered in Green with Evil, and also the Green Candle. And this one, blank slate clean. Remembered nothing. I should have remembered the Parents' Day. And then also, bizarrely, every time I'm to go on and state that I want something, eventually this show gives it to me, bizarrely, without me realizing it. So maybe I'm just weirdly, like, in a way, like, remembering this show unconditionally or something. Or just bizarrely just like calling out what eventually I'm going to see in the show, and I'm just weirding myself out. And maybe you too. But anyways, we go on and have the last episode of Grumblebee. Oh man, this episode is a banger, right? You know what? We go on and we have to have a monster or some character something have some kind of bee connection. Oh my god, did they just slather on like using the bee throughout the whole entire episode? All the puns, all the story is to just be like, okay, well, Billy, you know, the guy with the letter B in his name? Well, guess what? He goes on and he takes a test and he almost keels over because he looks at the grade of said test and he's getting a B. Oh my god, Billy. I'm so sorry. The sacrifices that you just have to make just make it through the rest of your day because you have a B. Oh my god, all the other Rangers just have to tell you, Billy, that it's okay. It's just a B. It's okay. You can make it through this, Billy. You can do it. And so Billy just has to just trottle on because he's like, yeah, I've never gotten a B before in my life. And then Rita's like, well, you're going to be seeing a lot more Bs because you're going to go on and face off against my bee monster. And so, yeah, so we have the tralalaling of that. And so we also have to go on and write characters off within this episode, which is to be Zach and Kimberly and Jason. And so with that, they go on and they go right back to what they had gone on and done in the past with Tommy. But then it seems that Billy and Trini end up treating Zach, Jason, and Kimberly way better than they treated Tommy in past episodes. Like, they're just like, oh, no, we're going to go back for them. And then, like, well, no, like, it was a mistake for us to go back for them. And so I am just like, what the fuck? Like, why was Tommy so different? Like, did they seriously just hate Tommy? Like, did they go on and just be like, oh no, Tommy's got this? Like, he's gone on and beaten up like a whole group of putties all by himself. He can figure out how to get himself out of a rope or a net or a communicator in a bag situation. He can go on and figure it out, but like Jason and Zach and Kimberly, oh no, like they definitely need help. Yeah, whatever. Whatever with this. So, with that said, let's go on and let's break down these episodes. Let's go into deep down, deep spoilers, and go about our day. Because it's about time to say that it is spoiler time. It's about that time we need to spoil all, hopefully, 10 of these episodes. But again, you'll know when we cross that bridge. So, let's go on and talk about a pig surprise. So, at the Angel Grove Pet Adoption Day, we have the Rangers that are finding people to pick up bunnies, dogs, and pigs, as we are to go on and find some old lady desperately in need to donate this pig, and hoping someone is gonna help her. And I'm just like, dude, there's like 4 people just right in front of you. How about you go on and just be like, here you go. Here is this pig thing. Take it off my hands. Here you go. Like, it seems like this woman just has this, like, just bit of dialogue that's like, And then the Rangers are just like, sure. Like, we'll take this off your hands, lady. So, we transition from that. And then, so Zach is all of a sudden, he's running in the park. He's late for something. I don't know. Like maybe eventually he's gonna go on and get with Angela. It's not quite explained there, but he's late for something. And he's gonna be even later for it. Sadly enough. So because all of a sudden Zach is going on and noticing that old lady from earlier, and all of a sudden this old lady is going on and just shucking and jiving, and Zach is just kind of like, huh? Huh? What's going on over there with that old lady? And I'm like, man, like these writers are just describing my Tuesday night. Like a pig and an old lady shucking and jiving. Where could this episode go wrong? Man, like it's like they know my life. So the adventures of this old lady turn into some putties as all of a sudden we go from like one putty to then like a group of them just appear. And I'm like, okay, where was there a group of putties? And so I'm like, all right, Zach, prove yourself, because if Tommy has gone on and plethoras of past, wiped out a whole bag of putties by himself, like it's your turn, buddy. You deserve this. You have danced your way to deserve this. Take him down, Zach. Hip hop keto your way through this group of putties. Like, come on, you've done it. So Zach is to go on and again, like hip hop keto dance his way through these putties as if he has the foot of loose. And he all of a sudden, is while he's doing this breakdance fighting, he goes on and is on the ground at some point and sees this device seemingly near his face. And he's like, okay, whatever this is, like, let's keep on fighting. And so eventually, when he takes out the whole group of putties by himself, achievement unlocked, I guess, he then goes back to the weird, goofy looking device. Where immediately he's like, well, this is a weird, goofy looking device. I need to go on and bring this to Billy. Because if history is ever going to tell us anything in a Power Rangers episode, if you see a weird, goofy device or an alien, you need to immediately bring it to Billy. Because when we get eventually to the Alien Rangers and the Aquatarian aliens come and knocking on the door of Earth and meet up with Bulk and Skull are just like, well, yeah, we need to bring this alien guy to Billy because he'll know what to do. Yeah. So speaking of Bulk and Skull, so they make their way to this whole adoption area. And so they're just like, well, yeah, we need an animal. It's got to be something different, something interesting, something weird. Like, what do you got? What do you got left? And so immediately we just have and the pig makes his way, and it's like, okay, sold. So Bulk and Skull are going on and treating this pig Norman to the nines. They're going on and they're not renaming the pig. Oh no. They're gonna just stick with the name Norman. So they go on and they feed this thing. They're reading books about it. They're even trying to teach it tricks like how to just completely stand there and just ignore them. Works perfectly. Everybody was like, all right, like pig getting taught tricks. So we could all learn a thing or two about a pig that just stands there and ignores people. So, back to Zach. So, back. Blah, 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 blah. Zach, makes his way to Billy's place to drop off this device. And so Billy notices that it seems to have a weird, unusual timer counting down on it. So, like, immediately when I started to look at this again, this device, I'm like, it looks kind of like the wrist from the Predator alien and the Predator movie, where he goes on and he detonates the self-destruct thing. And he's and then like Arnold, he's starting to like run away from the bomb and it easily like makes it far away from the bomb for it to just go off. What a waste that was. Like, the Predator should have taken Arnold down with him, but no, didn't quite happen. So, Zach is to go on and explain what happened to him. And while explaining the story of the old lady that is to eventually become into being a putty, Trini is like, well, because she's also with Billy, because she's always with Billy, weirdly enough. Like, they never gone on and explain that fully relationship, but just, there could have been something there. There could have goddamn bang dang something there. But there wasn't, sadly enough. But anyways, Trini is going on and stopping Zach after, like, wait a minute, like the old putty that had the pig with her, like the old lady turned into a putty, like, like, we need to go on and, like, we need to be very concerned about this. And then I in turn was not concerned whatsoever, because I was just like, okay, well, like, we're just going to continue on this episode and see where this goes. So now we go on and we have Bulk and Skull, and they're sharing a sub the long way. Don't get your mind in the gutter, people. They're doing Lady and the Tramp style with the spaghetti and the new ball or meatball thing, and they're just kind of like one kind of is, but they're not lip servicing. No, not today. So Bulk and Skull are just having a sub time of their life, and we come to find out that all of a sudden Norman seems to have a special ability of chick magnet. And all of a sudden this woman just kind of just walks on over to Bulk and Skull. It's like, well, hey, what's the name of that? And Skull turns to the woman, it's like, Bulk. And Bulk turns to Skull, it's like, no, his name is Norman. And so, like, the woman's like, oh, and so, like, she starts to pet the pig, and it's like, oh, wow, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden, Bulk and Skull are, like, turning to one another, like, we just hit the jackpot. Oh my god, this thing is a gold mine. And so, I'm, like, going on, and I'm watching this episode, and I have, like, my cat on the side of me here, as it has probably already gone on and clawed me twice this day in the arm, and also just tried to just tether away my clothes as if I logically need so much of them to exist. But I'm like, why can't you just be a chick magnet like that, cat? That doesn't have a name, because I'm not going to give it a name. Because why would I go on and do that so? Because it has a name. It's not named Cat. Believe me. I wish it would have been called Cat. How dare he? I'm a cat person. So am I. Anyways, Goldar comes to the conclusion that Rita has to go on and cast a spell to turn the Norman into the pudgy pig. And I'm like, wait a minute, so what was that device counting down for? What was it some weird goofy egg timer situation? But Goldar just has some weird goofy, like, mental ability to know of just time passing? What was the point of that device? They could have just thrown it away. Regardless, so at the youth center, we have Ernie that is upset with Bulk and Skull because they had gone on and brought this pig inside the youth center. Well, briefly, we're going to come to find that a lot of people that are in the youth center are going to be outside of it, because all of a sudden, Pudgy Pig is to appear, as well as also the fear upon everyone's faces. As they're like, oh my god, there's a monster in the youth center? And I was always, like, probably thinking in my mind, has there ever been a time where a monster has appeared inside the youth center? And this is to be that time. Man, we are just checking off all the lists today. And I did not go on and realize it that probably in a past video, I'd probably said a number of things that are to go on and occur. And maybe I probably had watched this show at one point once, and I remember nothing about it. Still, weirdly, bizarrely, just psych something. I'm trying to figure out the perfect word. Like just brain powering just this show and just writing in my own episodes that are already to exist. So Bulk and Skull won't go on and give up their Subway sandwich because they are to go on and to have not have eaten since lunch. So Bulk and Skull have the sub and they're not wanting to give it up. So they make their way to the heavy bag as the Pudgy Pig is to follow them there. And Zach appears and is telling him like, "Hey man, give up that sandwich, give up that sub, like it's you or that sub, like he's gonna eat you." So Bulk gives him like a little bit of the bread, and then like Pudgy Pig is like, "I'm still hungry, give me this sandwich, I'm hungry," and because he's Eric Cartman, bizarrely he is, he's just really Eric Cartman, the whole not eating a lot thing. But anyways, so a Bulk and Skull are to go on and mercifully give this monster what it wants and then runs off. As Zack is to appear in front of the monster and then just kind of pose a karate stance for a little bit. Then he's like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna go on and I'm just gonna call for Zordon and teleport out of here." So here is where we go on and we then turn around to have Zack make his way to the command center, and so I believe here is where like Zack is with the rest of the Rangers, and at some point we have Zordon who ends up calling Pudgy Pig overweight. I'm like, really, Zordon? You're gonna go there? Wow. And then also we have Trini, we have Kim that are just like, well, like, but what if the Norman like pig, like, what if it's still inside that Pudgy Pig? We can't hurt Pudgy Pig because we, like, we're just thinking of just Norman, like he may still have some kind of existence. We just can't. And I'm like, yeah, like I was probably thinking the same thing, and probably so were a lot of the viewers. Like maybe PETA was gonna get involved and like was gonna go down. You know what I mean? Like we did not want any uh pig within a side of a pig to get harmed in the making of this episode. So uh we also had Kim who ends up going on and turning to Zordon like, "Are you ready for this?" And I was like, "Are you ready for this?" Yeah, I love that. So Zordon also goes on and is to mention the Rangers like, well, hey, like uh if anything, you guys just go out there and try to face off against this Pudgy Pig and just try not to get him to just roam free. And I immediately was thinking, like, oh man, we're doing like just really, we're just doing pet analogies here. And also, I'm getting reminded of the Justice League episode where Wonder Woman ends up turning into a pig, and then Batman has to just kind of figure out how to unpig Wonder Woman. It's just a weird episode. So and then also when like Zordon goes on and tells the Rangers is like, well, hey, like just don't let the Pudgy Pig run free. And then I was also just like, well, yeah, and don't get it wet and don't feed it past midnight. So the Rangers morph. So when the Rangers meet up with Pudgy Pig, he goes on and he remixes his jump. He jumps from this high vantage point down on the ground, but then all of a sudden Pudgy Pig then jumps backwards. And I'm just like, man, Pudgy Pig, you got some skills, boy. High five. So he remixes his jump. So as they're going on and the Rangers are duking it out with Pudgy Pig, like you can hear like either Kimberly or Trini going like, "Yeah, I don't want to hurt you." I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." So, uh, so Pudgy Pig, of course, ends up overpowering the Rangers because all of them are thinking about Norman, I'm sure. And the Pudgy Pig ends up energy blasting, and Jason gives us the Michael Jordan, like, stop it, get some help. So, uh, so Podgy Pig ends up going away, and so Jason is to go on and get his communicator out, or get to talking to Zordon and saying that they lost Pudgy Pig. So Zordon has Alpha at the command center use a scanner to find the pig as Goldar uh, is destroying Angel Grove in the meanwhile, as Rita goes on and makes her monster grow and makes Goldar giant. And so here's the goofy thing. Like, the Rangers don't go on and say, like, hey, yeah, this Pudgy Pig business, like, we'll just shelf that because Goldar is just wreaking havoc on the city. Like, here's the thing that I have the big fat problem with is we don't have the Rangers that separate. We don't have like Jason who has like the dragon dagger power, as well as also just like having the ability to or to remotely control whatever goddamn Zord he wants. Like, you would think that Jason would just be able to manhandle any monster that ends up turning massive and whatever, and then all the rest of the Rangers would just deal with all the other just stuff that Jason just didn't want to deal with that day. And you would think that that's how they would work stuff out. But no, 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 no. That would just have too much logic to just be thrown into just a Power Rangers episode to just logically have worked things out the proper way. And then also you go into so many other Power Rangers other seasons, and like there's one dude just manning the Megazord. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Why is it that one person can just man it at one time? Or maybe multiple people, but not the whole entire gosh darn team. Answers could be had this day. So, because there is something about the brain power in certain Zords, and every Zord eventually changes from season to season. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Like, all of a sudden, we go on and we come to find that the Zeo crystals are weakened to water, but then also it seems that the Mighty Morphin suits in this season are weakened by self-esteem. Heaven forbid. Heaven for Betsy. Anyways, so Scorpina appears before the Rangers, and here's where I go on and I'm like, Goldar is like right there, just wreaking havoc. But like the Rangers are just so laser focused on like, oh, that Scorpina, I'm gonna get her. When I get my hands on her, I'm gonna Goldar's wreaking havoc on the town. Split up the duties, and I did say duty. So, but then also the putties then quickly appear, and I'm like, well, there goes my effing plan. So you should have just murdered Scorpina before anything else happened. So, but yeah, but like, so the putties, like, they appeared and then they disappeared, and so Jason calls for Zord, and they end up doing it the extended Snyder version cut of of Zord calling, because they need some time to kill. They need a thing or two to do, and so they power up the crystals, as do I just power up my crystal because I need some Megazord time. It's Megazord time. Just the time where I'm just like whatever with this. And so Jason calls for auxiliary power, and I'm like, Of course, you guys just have to grab for all like the run amok of just terms and conditions that you can just call these extra powers that just come out of nowhere, come out of your just batukus, and just make for extra power sources this day. Like they just gotta throw all kinds of weird, goofy terms in this episode. And so here's where Jason calls for the Megazord, the Mega Sword. Just wait, just wait. They're gonna call it just Power Sword. Just you're gonna hear at some point just the switcheroo of okay, we went from Mega Sword to now Power Sword. I can't let it go. I just can't. I gotta bring it up. It's now become like I gotta find this out now. It is the riddle of the episode. What will it be today? So Jason tells the Rangers to hold on, Rangers. Everybody, hold their horses this time around. Oh my God. So, like, don't bust that nut yet. And so the Megazord or the Mega Sword and Zord, like they're going in there cause Slice, but it's like in real just like slow stop motion. It seems like they're really just milking the out of this, and Goldar is just like, oh well, I'll just disappear. Like deuces, A-Town. And I'm just like, mother, you could have finally, and I mean finally, dispatched that mother. You could have killed Goldar for realsies, not for plays, and been done with this run amok of man that goes on and destroys your city, or really the Sentai footage, but still. And eventually, like, just look at the things that he does in the two-parter of Old Friend. God dang it, Rangers. Do I have to do your job for you? By telling you how to do your job? Red Ranger, what are you doing? You're supposed to be the leader of this team. Anyways, so Goldar vows to beat every single Ranger that he can. Yeah, when is that gonna happen? I'll get you, Rangers. Yeah, I'm sure you will. Yeah, I bet you will. You'll get them back on your taxes. So Billy and Jason Kim go back to the farm to use the device to transform Pudgy Pig into Norman again, because at some point we go on and we have the Rangers and they're morphed trying to find the Pudgy Pig, and they go to this farm and they find that bizarrely that the Pudgy Pig is looking at this other pig, and he is just trying to court this pig. He is really going on and laying it in thick. He's going on and telling him that they will make beautiful bacon together. I'm like, wait a minute, Pudgy Pig, what? What are you saying there? What? So Pudgy Pig is just having a time of his life with this pig, and he's trying to court it and swoon it and everything in between. And so the Rangers are looking on at this whole debacle, and they're like, man, we have just seen everything now with Power Rangers. Like we're seeing a pig trying to fall in love with Monster Pig, and we're just like, can I just sort it now? Can I just like but again, we got to think of the Norman inside of the Pudgy. So yeah, we got to think of that. So we have Billy that goes on and uses this device and turns the pig back into Norman. So we then go to Angel Grove High, and Trini is going on and telling all the students this day, hey guys, breaking news. the farmer had decided to adopt Norman because really he probably just woke up one day and was like, hey, extra pig? Cool. So the Ranger's like, oh, wow, great. So we come to find that the principal is subbing in for Appleby. And so bizarrely, like the principal decides that him to self has to go on and do this weird, bizarre animal segment for his class for this day. And so he all of a sudden brings his own pig into class. And Bulk and Skull are so afraid of this thing and they run off. And that's how they just kind of run up this episode into credits. Moving on, let's go into the next one, the Something Fishy episode. So, as school lets out, or maybe the Rangers are just going to their locker for the day, Trini's going on and she's talking about going scuba diving. Because evidently that's just going to be a thing in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where I think Jason, Zach, and Trini just consistently go scuba diving, and that writes them off for the episodes numerous times over, and it just becomes the just utter annoyance of eventually the show. They gotta figure out a way to write these people out. They just have to. So Bulk and Skull seem to be wanting to do a thing that involves the water too, as they want to go on and they want to go fishing. Bizarrely, they're in school and they are just lugging around like this like fishing rod and all kind of assortment of things, and the Rangers are just looking at Bulk and Skull and just like, God, you are just like, what kind of thing are you? Why are you just walking around with fishing poles in your hand while you're in school? This makes no sense. Man. So Bolt goes on and he opens up his locker, and we again have the exact same thing that they did in prior episode, where all of the crap just falls out of his locker. Again, I make the analogy like the Tom Hanks scene in Money Pit, where Tom Hanks is looking at the chimney as the chimney is consistently having brick by brick by brick piece just falling, and Tom Hanks is just like, ah, ah, and he's looking at his wife. Oh, look, look, this whole chimney just fell. And then he is going and getting into his bed, all face full of soot, and he's like, good night, honey. And then he goes and sleeps. So, uh, Bulk ends up pulling out of the locker some bait that is to seemingly be a attraction to the fish, like Bulk and Skull are to be a repellent to women. Sadly, that's the way it is. Until eventually, Skull seems to find some woman that is going to go on and give him Spike at some point, and we have to theorize who exactly that person could possibly have been. But anyways, but for Bulk and Skull, there is always bigger fish in the sea. So, Bulk trips on Skull's fishing rod and he falls over. And so while the Rangers are going on and making their plans, as Billy really wants nothing to do with scuba diving, Kimberly is like, oh, good, me and Billy can just have our own little picnic for two. And I'm like, all right, cool. So Rita notices that Billy doesn't like fish, so Golar says it's a perfect time for goofish. So, uh, Jason, Trini, and Zach are scuba diving, and so Jason has to go on and like check all the equipment and like make sure everything's working properly. And I'm like, is this a weird PSA for like scuba diving? Like, what's going on here? But I guess that's also just the thing. Like, well, hey man, we got like X number of minutes to just fill here. Like, just check the equipment quickly. And also, like, I'm sure anybody would probably have a problem with like, oh, they didn't check the equipment before they went out. How dare anybody just accuse the Rangers of not checking their equipment? So Kim and Billy are having their romantic getaway as Billy is offered some fish and chips, but Billy refuses the chips or refuses the fish and wants the chips. So, really, at this point, I am to go on and not blame Billy. I am not a much of a fish guy because I guess really I haven't had enough fish in my life. But I've had tuna. I've had tuna sandwiches. I've enjoyed the tuna. But any other time, like I always wanted to always try like uh like a octopus or a squid or a something like that. But really it was to have never gone on and really gone far in the depths of the seafood uh eatery of food things within my life. So, anyways, Kim needs to know why Billy has this fish problem. She's like, I need you to break me down the story because we were such good friends, and you need to just let me know why it is that you were just against them fish. So, Billy goes on to state that in his young lad of days, Billy was humiliated by a fish. Humiliated? It's like the fish just hopped on shore and just started like just doing a stand up. What's the deal with these humans? This one has glasses. Should we or should we not punch him in the face? Anyways, so Billy is to go on and put his finger in the water, and he goes on and does it in a seemingly twirlular motion of spinning. And then he goes on to regret said act because as Billy is to pull his finger from out of the water, he is to have a fish to have attached to it, and that is to have humiliated him for his rest of his life. So I would have just called that good hunting. Like, man, you didn't have to have any bait, but this fish just latched onto your finger, and then you're just like, all right, hey, it's like, this is gonna be dinner, and people are like, okay, all right. So, uh, it seems also that da, da, da. Was it the gooffish? I think in one of these episodes, there's to actually be a monster that actually does sound like Zed. And I'm not sure if it's this one or not. I think it probably is. Uh, Probably somewhere in here it probably states that. Um, but anyways, so but if anything, for Billy, a fish got a piece of him metaphorically. So now with Bulk. So Bulk is having a fun time just screaming it out, and so both Billy and Cameron now are just like, okay, like I can hear that that's Bulk. Why is he screaming? So Kim and Billy make their way to find Bulk and Skull, and Skull is screaming because he has this big fish. So much so they had to let the neighborhood know. And what ends up being the supposed fish is just a no fishing sign. And so like Skull's like, well, what are the odds? Like, and Skull then in turn goes on and shows all the stuff that they collected, and I'm like, okay, all the junk. So, uh, and then Billy goes on and gives the old like, oh, give a hoot, don't pollute. Yeah, it's great that they're cleaning up the environment, I guess. So, uh, so at a point we have Kim and Billy, uh, and they're kind of pondering whether or not that they should kind of rejoin the rest of the Rangers because maybe they're assessing or assuming that maybe the rest of the team is to be done with scuba diving, and there's maybe something for Kimberly to do. And Billy's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll go along with you, as long as I'm not going in the water." And so I have to adjust myself because I've been sitting here for an hour. Oh no, just the burdens of sitting. So la la la, where am I? Oh my god. So uh so because of that happening, Goldar wants to decide to send down putties as Rita is going ranger fishing. So we of course then turn around and have Kimberly and Billy face off against these putties. And Kimberly is going on and she's turning to her communicator because they need reinforcements. They need more rangers. And Billy is turning to Kim. It's like, well, I think the rest of the rangers are still underwater and they're not going to be able to hear the communicator go off. So, and maybe like Jason, Zach, and Trini are going to go blah, 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 in a different way because they're underwater. It's a weird, stupid joke, but I had to put it in there. So, Billy, in a desperate need to figure out how he can beat these putties because Zach had gone on and seemingly beat these putties by himself. But so Billy sees a saving grace, which is just a lunchbox. And I am just. Lunchbox? Really? Like Billy looks at this lunchbox, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is it. This is a saving grace. We're gonna make it." And I am confused. So, and also just thinking like, well, this is just prop weaponry 101. So Billy and Kim finish the putties and they teleport to Zordon. So Zordon tells Billy and oh no, wait, so Zordon goes on and tells Billy and Kim that the goofish is nearby the sea, and of course that makes both Kim and Billy need to seek this out, and so the both of them morph to that location and quickly need help. It seems quickly. So Rita makes a spell to make Billy's fear even worse. So we're gonna get the oh yeah, I'm so afraid. Oh no, don't touch me. Oh no, don't touch me. Don't touch me. That's when we're getting that Billy. The fetal spoonful of fear makes Billy fetally go down. So Alpha and Zordon are aware Rita's casting a spell, and so Billy is to also be aware of that going on because he himself is feeling even more scared than usual. So everybody's getting in on the game. Everybody's knowing. Everybody's knowing the play. Everybody knows about the Statue of Liberty play, right? So, uh, the rest of the Rangers are finished scuba diving, and so they go on and they have Zordon, who ends up communicating, calling them, and so Jason is like, all right, like we need to morph, like, we need to get out of here. So as the rest of the Rangers arrive, the monster then decides to do this like weird goofy flip into the water, and I'm like, man, like, all right, like this monster just flips away and disappears in the water. I'm like, okay, cool. So Golar's further plan is to have the goo fish uh, goo up the Megazord to defeat those Rangers. So the Rangers team teleports back to the command center. So and yeah, like the Goofish was voiced by Lord Zed. I figured that out when I was kind of just hearing his voice consistently. So here's the funny thing. So Jason goes on and appears to help out uh, both Kimberly and Billy. And so Jason, Zach, and Trini do a lick of really nothing here. They fight for like maybe a good 10 seconds. Like Jason whips out his blade blaster and the monster just flips and just goes on into the water. And so Jason turns and he says that, man, that goofish was just a lot of trouble. I'm like, for the 10 seconds that you were there facing off? Like, really? Yeah. So Billy blames himself because of him not being able to form, and Billy, like, at some point, us as people eventually get that problem, and there's not a pharmacy nearby to just figure out the cure for that. So uh, here's where Kim and Jason are curious if there's anything uh, that can help sort of, and I'm like, again, here's where I'm thinking of the pharmacy. And so Zordon goes on and tells Billy, it's like, well, hey, you need to face your fear. And I'm like, yeah, Billy, like, remember the Island of Illusion, man. Like, just like copy and paste that homework and just repeat. Like, just do the exact same thing that you did with the Island Illusion and just think positive thoughts or whatever the heck uh, Quagmire from Family Guy told you what to do. It wasn't Quagmire from Family Guy, but like he had the same name. It was Quagmire. Give me a break. So, and also I was thinking to Billy, it's like, okay, Billy, like just think of it this way. It's like the bottom of the ninth. We're just one swing away, Billy. Just swing away, Meryl. I mean Billy. Uh, so the goofish is going on, and so he's gooing everything in sight, forcing Billy to try. Billy does the greatest fight strat of all time. And here's where he goes on and he does like the get away. Get away. I'm here doing this. I'm busy. Because the Rangers, they go off to face the goo monster again. Just for the goo monster to easily take out all the other Rangers and just leave Billy just left on his own. It's like, get away. Best strategy of all. Oh man. Like I think Billy at also that point was just playing possum. He was like, I'm gonna wait till the goo fish just doesn't think I'm gonna do anything and I'm just gonna spread eagle and just pow. No. Man, I wish that could have been the truth. So Goofish goos up Jason, Zach, and Trini's feet, and Billy just can't act. He's a good actor, but he just can't act at this point in time. So Kim is to go on and just bow herself some goofish, and gets starfished in the chest. She just la 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 with them sparkles this day, and I'm just like, man, like, and not and like, and then Kim I think gets back up, and Goofish is like, oh no, you didn't, and like just hits her with the chest again. So, and I'm like, down goes Frasier. That's what I just thought of, just Kimberly just getting taken down here. So, uh, and again, we're back to just Billy, and I'm just like, Billy, just think of all the slurp that you'll be getting after this victory. Just think of all the flurm you'll be getting. Oh my God, Billy. Just after everybody's going to realize that Billy was the one who beat this monster by himself, they're going to be just like, oh, whatever that slurp or that slurm is, I'm down. So, Billy here is where he turns. And he flexes his muscle, he flexes them guns. And he goes on and he's like, Zordon! Zordon told me to face my fear. For me to break the spell. And so this goes on, and so Billy is just flying all over the goddamn place when he is like facing off this fear. Like, he is really high flying. He's like way up in the sky. Like, the Goofish is like, huh? And so the Goofish tries to go on and does its attacks to try to get to Billy. And Billy figures out a way to have these attacks just backfire on the Goofish. And then, like, we just have the Goofish with just egg on his face. So at this point now, like, since Billy is now gone to the ground, he's like, I faced my fear, and I've conquered it, and I've beaten it, and like, yeah. And everybody's like, yeah, Billy, you're gonna get that slurp. Just you wait. Oh yeah. Like, when we're at that victory rally, just remember that. Anyways, so Rita's like, huh? There's some times, like, God digging in this show, where I think it's hilarious where they have to go on and they have to, like, quickly cut away to some character, like a Goldar or a Rita or an Alpha or a Zordon or a something. And they just have to go on and just be like, huh? And then they cut back to the Rangers and they're fighting. And I'm like, why did they need to do that? Like, what was the purpose? Like, I get it. Like, you have to have these people that have so many lines in show, but I am just like, that is the goofiest thing. But and here's where Rita, she's going on and she's looking into the telescope, and I'm like, what, Rita? Like, did you see that your, like, dinner delivered to, like, your front door? And you're like, huh? Because she's like, and then she just, like, cuts away. And I'm like, why did this seem to be a thing? So now we go on and we have Make My Monster Grow. The Zords are called. They Megazord it up because they just gotta do it. And so we have the Goofish, and he has this staff, and we eventually have them go on and they, like, just break the staff. And also they have the Mega Sword to face off against this Goofish. So we also have the Goofish that Mega Blasts the Megazord. And so at some point, the Megazord falls over, and Zack comes to this weird, goofy realization that they can go on and they can take the goo from the Goofish and convert it into energy. And I'm just like, what the is he smoking? I am like, wait a minute, like, are we just gonna go on and have this be uh like we're gonna just use the monsters thing just against them to just become powerful? Like, seems so dumb. So here's where the Megazord is now on its own remix. It's gonna remix its own fall. And we don't even say the sword name when uh the the sword is called. Um Maybe I wanted to say Megazord instead of Megasword. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to say Mega Sword got poked by Goofish. Yeah, that's probably what I. Instead of sword, Zord. There we go. So let's get back to this. So Jason goes on, and after they slice the monster away, Jason is proud of Billy, and so am I. Billy then is to go off with Ernie and Fish, and he comes in with Ernie with the fish, and so Billy is going on and saying like how he had a fun time fishing, and so Jason is like, "Well, hey, do you want to go scuba diving with us soon?" And Billy's like, "Well, yeah, I think I'll really like that sport." I'm like, "Is scuba diving a sport?" I did not know. So Bulk and Skull arrive, and they're supposed to say that they had finally caught this big fish, but instead they end up just catching a big can of tuna. And so Skull pulls that out, and then everyone laughs at him. It's like, ha ha ha, you have a big can of tuna. And so Billy seems to have caught more than just one fish, and Bulk is to look into this bag to find something, and he ends up finding this lobster that tears into his nose and ends the episode. Moving on. Uh, so the next episode is Lions and Blizzards. So here's where we have this obstacle course like thing. So Jason and Bulk are doing some obstacle course with alongside them is Jason, I think, with uh uh oh no. Um Jason and Bulk start off this relays thing, and then we get further into like other people being added. So Jason and Bulk are side by side on this oddball games thing, and they're running through these tires and like, who's gonna slip? And of course it's Bulk because he always slips. And also, if you are to remember, Bulk and Skull eventually go on to become like police officers, and Bulk slips on tires there and falls over because of course he does. So we then transition to then see that Zach is doing a sack race with Angela, and Zach is mocking her because of all the times that Angela had rejected him in the past. He's finally getting his comeuppance, and Angela's like, "You're liking this too much, are you?" And Zach's like, "Yeah, yeah." But eventually, like, Angela will finally just be like, "Okay, like, I'll give Zach the time of day, but like, he's not gonna get all my time." So after we go on to the sack race, we then see Jason, who is grabbing Trini by the legs because they're doing this human wheelbarrow thing. And so we then come to find that Bulk is alongside Jason and Trini with Skull. And of course, they're going on and they're dragging their bodies through this whole human wheelbarrow thing. So we have Jason and we have Kimberly, and they make it to the finishing line and they win this thing. So that's all good and great and all. But the only thing of it is like after they win, they say it's like, well, hey, like since these guys clearly won, now we have to go on and figure out who like second place is going to be. So they have to go on and like do the last event, which is tug of war, to just kind of figure this all out. So Jason and the Rangers are on the red side. Uh, Bulk and Skull and Angela are on the blue side. So they tug of war this out, and wouldn't you think it, the Rangers side wins. Wow, what a shocker there. So we would come to find out that the Rangers win this Lions trophy. So Rita wants to reward the Rangers with another lion, uh, and it's going to be definitely win or lose. It's going to be Rita who wins, as Gotan seems to be the next monster on the making list. So as of course, Bulk's team loses. Zach goes on to see Angela down on the ground, and he, I guess, realizes that Chivalry isn't dead, so he goes on and takes his little red sash thing and puts it on the ground to then have Angela like be uh, hoisted up by him, and Angela's like, "You're really having fun with this," and Zach is like, "Yeah, I am." So they're going on, and so the Rangers are realizing, like, hey, we're gonna get this trophy, and we're definitely gonna give this to Ernie so he can like put it somewhere. Maybe eventually he'll get like a trophy case. Could be a thing. So they're going on and on and on about this whole trophy thing, but they don't even notice in the background that the trophy is gone, that the trophy is missing until they turn and they're like, oh, the trophy's gone. You guys were talking up a storm about this whole trophy thing, but you didn't even know that it was going to be disappearing in front of you, like feet away. What the F? So, Bulk and Skull end up becoming sore losers, and they keep the trophy for themselves. And so, we have the Rangers that are like, well, hey, like, we got to get the trophy back from Bulk and Skull, because for some goofy reason, the Rangers know that Bulk and Skull have the trophy, so they go after them. And once they try and find Bulk and Skull, they end up fighting Putties instead. So the only real like there is actually some pretty good few moves within this fight going on here compared to so many of the other ones. We have at one point where a putty ends up getting like lodged in this like this wheel swing, and eventually Billy ends up doing this like weird goofy like weird like stretching kind of thing. It's very unusual. And so Rita goes on to cast a spell to turn the trophy into a monster. And Bulk and Skull are there with the trophy, and all of a sudden notice that it is Gotan, and Gotan ends up doing this energy blast upon them. So the Rangers, really knowing nothing about this, they just go on and they make their way, because I guess they never found Bulk and Skull, because I guess they just completely forgot about it. They make their way back to the youth center, and they think nothing of it. And so Jason and Zach are hitting the heavy bag again, because we gotta kind of harpen back to the episodes of the past and just show some kind of continuity going on here. So kind of let's reward them for the continuity that they actually tried to do here. So we have Zach, and he's just thinking like, man, that Angela, like, if only. And so Zach, this is finally your time. So Angela is to appear in a dress, and she's looking smoking hot. and she goes on to ask Zach out, finally for a movie date. So I'm just like, how is this going to go on and become like a very awkward episode? And actually, surprisingly, wasn't that bad because usually dating episodes are the most awkward thing. Like, eventually, we had Tommy who tried to go on and get a date after the whole Dear John letter thing. And eventually, that episode ended up becoming awkward. Let's admit it. So, Alpha and Zoran are alerted of Gotan's weather ability. Uh, and so the Rangers are going on and they're at the youth center and they are to come to find that there is a tornado watch going on as Ernie is to let them know. So the Rangers are immediately thinking like, I think this weather has something further to do than just like uh than just your normal common uh day of weather to be happening here. And like Billy and Kim come in and they're all wearing their raincoats and yeah, so eventually most of the Rangers just kind of come all in here. So Zordon tells or teleports the Rangers without Zach because of course Zach is on his date. So Zordon tells the Rangers the trophy was turned into Gotan that controls powerful weather conditions. He ends up mentioning like blizzards and tornadoes and like yeah, it's all the really bad ones. So Trini asks about Zach as Alpha can't seem to reach him as Zach is on a date. Give him a freaking break. So Zach does the good old, oh yeah, I'm so cold in here, and then he puts the hand over the shoulder, and then Angela's like, yeah, I don't think that's happening today, and then puts it back over, and so it's like, all right, Zach, smooth move. Like, man, the guy that is to go on and just be this smooth operator isn't just smooth against Angela. It seems like Angela is to be Zach's kryptonite, it seems. So the Rangers go on without Zach and they morph. So the Rangers meet up with Gotan and Gotan and Kimberly they have like a bow off together and Gotan freaking wins. I'm like, yeah. Finally, one time where just Kimberly just doesn't like bow a monster to death and like calls it a day. Because there are so many times where Kim just bows a monster and just murders it, and I'm like, all right, well, like I guess we could have done other things this episode, but just Kim just had to bow a monster to death. So Jason Blade blasts Gotan, and Gotan's eyes blast, and we then have the and and a tornado comes out of the goat's chest and starts twirling around the Rangers. So Angela is to go on and grab onto Zach in the movie theater because she's just in a fear or a hizzy of whatever is going on in this movie because we're not quite sure what the theme of the movie actually is. And Zach is to go on and have his watch go off. I'm like, why wasn't it going off before? It was just flashing with lights before. And weirdly, Zach goes on and tells Angela that it's his popcorn alarm. Why does Zach have a popcorn alarm? Whatever. Like, so Zach is telling Angela that he's going to go and get his popcorn, and he takes a million years to be able to do so. And so Zach goes on and he answers his communicator, and he morphs and teleports out. So Zach is already going on and being at this battle, and he's upset because his date is ruined. And I'm like, well, that wasn't awkward. So Zach uses his battle axe on Gotan as Rita makes the monster grow. Because, of course, when we have all the Rangers around, it's an outnumbering game. And so you might as well just have Gotan, who just becomes big, and then they call for their Zords. So when the Megazord ends up forming, and it's the usual stock footage, I'm like, wait a minute, this time around there's actually snow. Great, something different. And then when the fully on Megazord actually forms, the Megazord by Goten ends up getting completely frozen and just stuck. To where Zack decides, well, like, hey man, like I can spin the wheels of the Megazord, and so the Megazord just starts spinning and spinning and spinning, and then that's how it bizarrely just starts to unthaw. I don't know why, but it just, I guess because of the speed, like heats up the Megazord, and so I guess that's justifiably the way that it just unthaws itself. Like, I guess if you think about it, like the Megazord is technically with the speed of it, maybe in some kind of weird, goofy microwave. I don't know. That's the justification in my brain. So Zack calls for the power sword this time around. I'm like, all right, Zack calls for it, but then again, he uses the word power sword. And I'm like, it's Megazord, Zack. It's supposed to be mega. So after, of course, we go on and have the Rangers whoop some Slice Gotan butt. We have the Rangers make their way back to Zordon, and so Zordon apologizes to the Rangers is like because they had to go on and they had to sacrifice the Lion Trophy to defeat the monster, and so Zack completely forgets about his date. As a guy who knows how to guide others to get dates, forgets his own. It's a weird, goofy analogy I had there. So Zack teleports back with popcorn in hand to his date, and immediately when he's met to his seat, Angela goes on and chucks the bucket of popcorn on Zack's face, and then leaves. So we then go on to have at the youth center, Bulk and Skull are weirdly just covered in mud. And so this police officer is going on and asking Bulk and Skull's acquaintances of these rangers, like, well, hey, like, can you identify these two men? And so we all of a sudden have Bulk that has this frog that is dancing around in his body, and so that bizarrely has him knock over some things that are to eventually go on and get him wet because Ernie is like is watering this plant at the time, and so that's eventually how we get out of this episode, is just going through that. So next we are on the flea or not the flea episode. Where are we at here? um no. We are at the Crystal of Nightmares. So we're halfway through. All right, we're I think we're doing really good time on this one finally. But we'll see how this all ends. I say the Crystal of Nightmares things because for some reason the thing of which they had uh, the supposed things in order, they didn't have them in order. So like there was a cockamamie thing that it like made me think that this was going to be the flea episode, but it's not. It's actually the Crystal of Nightmares episode, and I knew I was going to mess that up, so I laid into that trap. So in the beginning of this episode, we are at Angel Grove High. So we're at the lockers. The class seems to be of wrapping up for the day, the Rangers make their way to lockers, and so Kim has a science test that she really needs to get a good strategy for. And Billy's like, well, hey, like, we're all gonna just go to the resort for this weekend and just study for that test and just ace it. Yeah, just ace it. And Bulk and Skull come to find that they're going to be thrusted with a ace up the principal's sleeve, as the principal is to go on and give Bulk and Skull these papers. And so Bulk and Skull, realizing that their grades are bad, the principal's like, well, hey, you better get uh, these grades up. Like, your grades are D's. And I'm just like, yeah, D's nuts. So Bulk and Skull want to stalk the Rangers to help, hoping that, like, by proxy, they can get their grades up and see what they do and have the Rangers do all the work for them. So Goldar wants Rita to channel the mirror of nightmares so the Rangers will lose their self confidence, because if they have no self confidence, they have no power. The power is yours, making their powers useless. So we transition to the Forest Creek cabin. Bulk and Skull notice a bird nest and have all these eggs just come plop, plop, plop right on their knobs, right on their heads, right on their, close to the suck holes, but not quite holes. If you know what I'm going, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm saying. Feel free to correct me in the comments if you'd like. So so Goldar summons the power of the crystal of nightmares. Bulk and Skull become maids to sneak into the Ranger's room. Zach comes into the room and, like, Bulk and Skull, like, scurry underneath the bed. So Zach is going on and he's just, like, dancing away, just having a good time. And Zach and Billy are just, like, looking at Zach, and they're just watching him just dancing and out, just having a good old time. And he's like, yeah, watch this move, watch this move. And so he jumps on the bed and he starts to hop on up and down on the bed as Bulk and Skull are underneath the bed, feeling this whole entire thing going on. And so here's then when we go from Zach jumping on the bed, and then all of a sudden there ends up breaking out in this pillow fight, and, like, here's where the fan fiction comes in, to where I'm like, I'm waiting for somebody to have gone on and written some kind of fan fiction about this whole episode, and just being like, yeah. And then Zach looked into Jason's eyes, and Billy looked into Zach's eyes, and anyways, but also here's again where, once we start to get to the nightmare stuff where people are starting to have these dreams, that's what I'm like, Dino Thunder episode. And Dino Thunder did it better. No, I like the Mighty Morphin episode better. They were the first ones. They were original. Dino Thunder just stole that idea. Yeah, but Tommy wasn't even involved in that episode, so, like, you gotta give mad props. So here's where Goldar will guarantee sweet victory and sweet dreams for the Rangers. Billy gets sucked into the Terratoad in his dream as everyone is sleeping away. Trini gets lumped together with all the Rangers into a Goldar attack, where Goldar is doing this, like, this sword down attack on everybody. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, we seriously don't have Trini have, like, some kind of solo beat where, like, she's on her own, not taking care of business? What the heck? And then Zach is fighting the Nasty Knight, because, oh my god, have we brought that up enough on this show already. But I guess you have to naturally assume that somebody just kept on to not getting to the show until much later, because Green Candle or some other Green Power Ranger thing was a cool thing to have watched. Whatever. Sorry for my little bit of nasally nose there. So Bulk and Skull are to also have their dream. And so I loved this dream. It was so fun. So Bulk and Skull are together and they do this weird goofy food morph where they all of a sudden have this thing of food and they morph and then they become Bulkster and Super Skrull from the Power Rangers uh, like holiday episode. And then they jump into the Megazord and then like, well, how can we like man this thing? And so they're going on and they're like joysticking the Megazord trying to figure out how to move this thing. And then all of a sudden, like the Megazord is just going haywire, and they're like, "Oh my god, like we're gonna die." So uh, and then we transition to Kim. Uh, Kim gets sucked into the Samurai Fan Man bottle, and I'm like, man, like this is freaking amazing how I'm going to go on and just recall these monsters because, like, that's one really nice thing about, like, at some points having bizarrely the memories that I do have. Because I can just recall from out of nowhere, like I do all the time, as you can see in every single video. But like I had no notes to remember who Samurai Fan Man was, but I was like, dang, how did I just pull that out of my buttuckus? So, uh, Kimberly's recalling that. Jason gets taken out by Goldar in the Dark Dimension where he chokes him. I'll get you, Jason. No, you won't. Jason is just scuffling around in the Dark Dimension like, I'm just gonna wait it out. So the next thing that every single one of the Rangers see simultaneously together is that Zordon is forced to strip every single Power Ranger of their powers because they no longer have the ability to be able to perform as Rangers, and they all wake. So the Power Rangers, they go through their Freddy Krueger night, and so they're all going on and they're sharing like what they all experienced, and uh, so and so Zordon is just kind of fully aware of what Goldar did, and alarms go off on the communicators, and nobody wants to go on and answer the communicators. Like Kim delivers some just kind of funny things where she's like, "Okay, goodbye, guys. I'm gonna see you later," and then she like bumps into putties, or she's just like, "Well, you know what? I think I'm gonna take my communicator and like I'm just gonna just hang it up next to my boots and just uh, call it a season." So Zordon's plan is for the crystal to get destroyed, and if the crystal goes on and gets destroyed, then the Rangers will go back to normal. And Zordon eventually has to go on and tell the Rangers that, and so Zordon has to go on and teleport the Rangers to the command center. And here's where we come to find that the Power Rangers, they have a problem with their self confidence that they won't become Power Rangers or will have problems being Power Rangers. Uh, but then also like even like when Alpha is trying to teleport all the Rangers, like the teleport is even just not working all that well. So we finally have Zordon telling the Rangers what they need to do, and they make their way to this cave to try to take out this crystal. So the Rangers at this point, they're just getting tossed around by these putties. They're just getting like put and just smacked around. And 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 putties are thinking or no, and so I think Zach and Kim are going on and saying that the putties are like stronger than normal. And Jason is going on and finding the opening of the cave, and he's like, "Okay, Rangers, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna bail." So, and he just makes his way into the cave. So Jason goes on to to face one on one with Goldar. He's like, "Oh, you Goldar, you Gold Goon." So Jason sees the crystal, and then he spin kicks it and breaks the crystal. And right after that, all the rest of the Rangers in their brain, there's this weird Zordon thing that goes off on them. See, like Rangers, you've destroyed the crystal. Like you can go on uh, and you can defeat the monsters. Like you've done it. Like and everybody's like, "Ah, all right, yeah, we did it." And all of a sudden, there's like a sway of or a wave of relief on them, and they have regained their confidence back. So as soon as also Jason is to kick the crystal, Goldar disappears. So, but then again, Goldar and Scorpina appear uh, to then have Rita do, of course, the make my monster grow moment, and the Zords are called. And here's where I say in my notes, like I hate Megazord battles at this point. Like I am just so sick of this. Like I am just so tired of the Goldar and Scorpina Megazord battle. Like nothing changes. So Goldar and Scorpina combined their swords together to make this power attack, and so Power Sword ends up getting called, and once, of course, that ends up getting called, immediately all the lackeys teleport away to go back to Rita, and then they're bickering and they're arguing amongst themselves, and Rita is just frustrated in the background. Bulk and Skull appear under the bed, realizing that they'd overslept. They're back at the hotel. And so, like, oh my god, we overslept. This is like the Bill Murray, uh, Harold Ramis, Stripes moment towards the end of the movie. We're like, oh my god, we're missing it. And so they get everybody and they start running to wherever this thing is, and they're trying to figure out where it is, and then they make it to the place, and then they end up doing the razzle dazzle, and yeah, they end up doing the whole routine, and everybody looks at them like, ah, oh, you schlubs. But like they end up just winning over bizarrely these people somehow, and then they go on to this next mission in the film. So Bulk and Skull realize they overslept, so they're like, "Oh my god, we got to get out of here." So Bulk and Skull they end up getting scared because they're late. The maid ends up getting scared because she sees two maids and they just appear in front of her. Weirdly enough, so as we go to the class, the principal is going on and stating to the class that uh, Miss Appleby has taken ill, so he's filling in temporarily as sub. So, as the Rangers, we come to find out ace this test. Bulk and Skull get F's. Shocker, right? Uh, and so the principal is going on and saying, like, well, you know what this F is going to be? It's going to be for forever, because that's how long you're going to be in detention. So Bulk and Skull seemingly after this are to go on and sneeze off the principal's toupee, which ends up ending off this episode with a funny little, goofy little gag. And let's move on to the next episode. Yeah, I think this is where we actually do get the to flee or not to flee. So, yeah, yeah. I realize that now. Zach is going on and he's begging for money at the youth center. He has his little bowl out. Spare some change. Come on, save the youth center. Spare some change. So the youth center seems to be having problems staying open, and I wonder why. I wonder, because they give away food constantly. Bulk and Skull ruins food. Inconsistent just equipment going in and out of this place. Clumsy natured people just all over. The poor weather conditions that are consistently just like, is the youth center going to collapse one day? Like, are we under a tornado warning? So on. So, like, a monster appears at the youth center? Like, what better way to just put the boots to this place consistently? So, and also all the strange occurrences that happen. Just the Rangers are going off to that one locker place and they're teleporting, and I'm sure a lot of people are in the youth center at some point hearing like the Rangers like talking to Zordon and teleporting and all kinds of unusual crap. Like, if I were anybody, I would just be like, you know what? Like, I am just deuces. I'm out. Yeah, like this is too strange for me. So Kim says it's too bad that the youth center is closing on down, and it seems that Billy is overlooking the books, and Trini is already to have assessed that Billy and Trini are to see that Ernie is Baroque. So Ernie is sad, and you know what? If I were to have been Kim, because the one episode where Kim ends up having like the horribly bad day, and Ernie turns to Kim and is to say, it's like, well, Kimberly, like, this is unlike you. I would have had Kimberly go on and just stop Ernie in his tracks and just being like, Ernie, you're sad. Like, this is unlike you. Like, let's morph right now and get the Megazords in here, because Ernie has turned heel. He's turned evil. There's something wrong with Ernie. He's trying to get this youth center closed. Somebody stop him now before it's too late. Anyways, that's my goofy, funny joke. So, Jason ends up going and making his way to the youth center, and he's carrying in this dog that was outside. And I'm like, Jason, do not be holding this dog that you've never met one iota of day in your life. Like, that dog could immediately just, like, yump on you, and you would have less of skin upon your bate. But that is just my assessment of life. So, but Jason is taking on this dog and bringing it in. And it's like, well, yeah, like this dog was just following me, so I just grabbed it and I just brought it in here, and just wouldn't you know? So Bulk and Skull come to find this note about this lost dog. I'm like, well, how convenient for this story. And so I'm like, well, I'm guessing that the lost dog reward money and whichever is going to tie to this seemingly dog that Jason was to just find. How dare this story just get so creative? I am to really just put the boots to this story. How can I just go on and just say, like, hey, writing a freaking episode of Power Rangers is freaking hard. Give them a break. And then also just say that, like, they write the same repetitively, so don't give them a break. Maybe just look at them and just be like, and then just, just continue about your day. So, and then also probably I'm sure any number of actual actors and or actresses who had been upon this show. There have been some folks that had just immediately said, yeah, the writing sucked. The writing sucked for our show. Look at Sierra Hanna. Sierra Hanna was just like openly, she's like, yeah, the writing sucked on our show. So moving on. So when Bulk and Skull realize, like, well, hey, we have this dog here that is to have reward money and it's generous. Like, man, we should go on and find this dog and throw away the note so no one else knows about it. So, uh, so Rita and Goldar are so Rita is going on and plotting away, uh, that Rita's gonna have this dog work for her as the is it Fighting Flea? Yeah, Fighting Flea. What a stupid name. They should have just called it Flea. Will separate Jason from the group and cause problems for the rest of the team. And so back at the youth center, Ernie gives the dog a bowl of food and feels the dog is giving him some kind of brighter side of life outlook. And I'm like, all right, Ernie's just going to turn this around. So, and then also Jason notices that fact. So, but still, like, Ernie is still sad as F. Moving on. Uh, Jason is noticing something with the dog, and then so Zach is just like, well, hey, maybe he needs to go out potty. Maybe you need to take him outside. And or maybe you need to go up and figure it out by asking Zordon what's wrong with the dog. And maybe sick your Megazord on him and figure it out. I went too long with that joke. So Zach assumes potty time, and so Kimberly's like, well, hey, like, how about me and Jason? We go to the park together as Bulk and Skull spot the dog that matches the note. Bulk and Skull want the dog no matter what, as they sneak around to try to get to the dog while Kim and Jason around. They end up doing this little trick with this stick thing to get the dog to come to them, as well Kim and Jason end up getting occupied. So, uh, Rita teleports the fleet onto the dog, uh, and no dog was harmed in the taping of this episode, unless you count by Rita. So, the fleas transfer to the dog to Jason's skin as Jason just can't stop just scratching away. He is just like, ah, I gotta do the itching. I got the twitching. And so Bulk and Skull lure the dog away. Yeah, like I said. And Jason and Kimberly get lured into another putty fight. So Jason finds putties, and a putty itches like crazy. And so Jason ends up turning to Kim. It's like, well, hey, like it seems that all of these putties are going to go on, and they're going to get my issue. So how about you go on and you lure them into me, and I can go on and one by one like give them the the itchy twitchy. And so Kim is like, okay, so Kimberly just like sends them all out to Jason. Jason touches them. All of the putties start itching away. So Kimberly notices that Jason is starting to look worse. He's starting to get some rashes. So they decide it's like, well, hey, we can't just go to any normal like doctor. Let's just go to the command center. So they teleport to the command center. Alpha notices one heavy duty rash dude. So Trini asks Zordon, what could it be? Yes, Trini, what could it be? Zordon realizes Rita's unleashed the fighting flea. And I'm like, wait a minute. This couldn't have been a PSA for STDs? No. I guess not. So, just missed opportunities this show. You could really adult this mother up. Anyways, so the Rangers find out that this bite can be contagious. And Jason has spent so much time with Kimberly, and Kimberly never gets one lick of iota upon like her getting this. But when Bulk and Skull touch the dog, they end up getting fleas. So sucks to be them. So so Alpha seems to be trying to concoct some kind of spray to temporarily prevent itching, but Billy wants to go on and find an actual cure of this, and he'll try to quickly put it together. Jason wants to find the dog, and regardless of what others are just kind of saying about like, well, hey, like Rita could single you out, or hey, like you're going through this itching thing, like anything could happen. And so, but Jason just feels responsible. So the fighting flea appears, scaring Bulk and Skull after trying to make a phone call to get the reward money. And Billy is going on and trying to make an antidote, and he's failing consistently. So Goldar warns Jason to stay on guard. I'm like, shouldn't that be like the exact opposite that you're trying to tell Jason? Like you're trying to warn Jason, like that's helping him. Like I guess there's only so much dialogue that these evil people can just say. Like at some point, maybe you just need to just have Goldar just like align himself with Jason. So Jason and Kim see the flea as the flea wants seconds of Jason. Jason and Kim both morph. One blast and Jason's down, scratching away. And we again see Jason with his remix balls as Kim gets overpowered and blasted. And I'm just like, what? Like the Kim, she's now our own third person here. The Kimberly. Kimberly, She can't go on and take this monster on her own. How many times has she gone on and slayed monsters in the past? But oh no, Kimberly can't take a monster on her own. So Billy gets the call. Trini and Zach get the call while Ernie is going on and talking about his loyal dog customer. Zach and Trini and Billy all morph while Billy has, I guess, figured out the antidote and is like, I'm on my way, Jason. So Billy is to go on and bring the cure to Jason to spray him down. And Billy cured Jason and is back into the fold as the Rangers stalled for time. So, uh, as the fleet now realizes that it's like, well, like the Rangers have cured Jason, so like he ends up going on and having all these putties appear. So Jason takes the flea out by attacking him with a sword, and Rita makes her monster grow. The Zords are called, and so the flea is just hip hopping and skipping and jumping around all the goddamn all over the place. So the power sword is called. The flea asks, "Can we talk about this?" Rita, or no, wait, like Kaslice goes Frasier, or in this case, Flea. Rita is disciplining her lackeys after the loss. So back at the youth center, there is to be a woman who is to have gone on and had, I guess, the Rangers call her to have gotten her dog back. And so this woman pays the Rangers handsomely, and the Rangers are like, no, 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 like Ernie gets the reward. So Ernie then goes on and gets this reward, and immediately they're like, oh, okay, I guess the youth center is just in the black now, and they take the sign down. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, like what? Like, how do you know that this is going to be exactly enough money to help him out? And then right after that, here's the worst thing. So right after that, like Ernie then goes on and says, like, well, hey, like free soda and pizza on the house. And I'm like, Ernie, like you're throwing away money. Like logic, Ernie. Like you need to keep it in the black, man. Um, you need to keep it in the black. Anyways, so uh, Bulk and Skull appear and they're itching, and they're itching their way into the youth center. Billy is to like notice they're itching. It's like, well, hey, like you know what? We could probably cure them, but you know what? Like we want to milk this out. So Billy ends up talking to Bulk and Skull like, well, hey, I have the cure for you, and they're like, oh, you do? And Billy's like, yeah, and here is these flea collars, and you got to wear them for a week. And they're like, for a week, and that's how we wrap up the episode. So now I'm like, man, we like have we like we have really like how many episodes are we in now? Good God. Uh I am just like, when are we gonna get to the return of that old friend? We're this one and then the other one, and then we're getting to that old friend. Oh my God. So we are just so close to still not being close enough. So, where? All right. So, Angel Grove High. Applebee's back. She's back in class. She's putting together a time capsule together for everyone to volunteer something. Jason had a karate statue, his very first one that he ever gotten, and he volunteers that. Uh, and also, it would be kind of cool to have seen like some future Power Ranger season, like reopen this time capsule, but that's never gonna happen because they're probably not gonna ever remember this episode. Um, Kim volunteers some clothing to just show the trends of the time, because of course she's also just a fashion sense person, anyways. Kimberly, Mrs. Appleby adds a picture of the Power Rangers for people to remember. These were their heroes, and Tim and Trini talk about that later. Like, oh my god, did you see that Miss Appleby put a picture of us like like the in the time capsule? It's like, man, what are the people of the future gonna remember us for? Especially when half of you were gonna go to the peace conference at some point. So Rita wants to be remembered forever. So she needs a monster cookbook that she really just kind of glances through, and then like Finster's like, "Oh, I'll just get the jellyfish monster," and it's like, okay, well, what was the point of her just thumbing through that book? Seriously, you couldn't have just edited that out a little bit better, there, buddy. So Zach is going on, and he's bringing in his CD, his fat mixtape, 1990 something. So, and I'm assuming probably even like during this episode, people may not even know what a CD is. Because now we have like music at our fingertips. Like we can go onto YouTube and hear all the music we want, or go into iTunes or some other like computer app thing somewhere. Like we have uh, like iPhones and iPads and iPods and whatever and all that jazz, and like there's so many different ways to now not need to know about a CD. But anyways, Billy volunteers some tech gadget and Trini has a newspaper, which like Miss Appleby is like, oh my god, that was a great idea. Bulk and Skull volunteer a Bulkowitch, which again thought was a stupid idea. But they're making it live. They're gonna make that sandwich right then and there. Bulk just sprays or Skull just sprays Bulk with all just mayo. Just he flings it up and down, and then Bulk is just like all over his face. So Kim and Trini are curious what people will think about them uh, as being Power Rangers in the time capsule. And we come to find out that the Rangers are to have the highest grades in the class, so they're going to bury the time capsule. So Goldar's plan is to replace the Rangers photo in the time capsule with Rita's by using putties as a distraction. I believe is the ultimate plan. So as the Rangers go on and they deal with putties, we have Babu and Squat that are dealing with the fact that they completely forgot the photo. And so they start rummaging through the capsule, and then they think about taking just the whole entire capsule with them and running off with it. So after the Rangers kind of deal with the putties, they run after Babu and Babu and Squat run and teleport away. So Rita ends up ridiculing Babu and Scott is like, you guys could have just brought the photo with you? Of course they didn't, because they're dumb. So that plan was pointless. So Fencer set out to finally put together this jellyfish warrior for victory to be had this day. At the command center, Alpha is alerted of the jellyfish and goes on to then return to Alpha then is to go on and find about the jellyfish and then alerts the Rangers about the threat. The Rangers use their blade blasters, like, and they all go on and they put their hands in with the blade blaster to connect the blade blasters all together, like as if like it's a weird looking like spider web that connects all the blade blasters like one stacked on top of the other. Or it goes on, it reminds me of like the Three Musketeers, where they go on and they do the all for one and one for all, and they put the swords next together to one another, and sometimes they like overlap one another, kind of the same thing. And then the jellyfish kind of just like thrusts the blade blaster attack away and thrusts the rangers uh, from from itself. So ba, ba, ba. So the jellyfish blasts them, and it was so powerful that the rangers felt it through their suits. So they have to go on and bizarrely have Alpha concoct this weird, like, spraying down things. We just have to have these weird, goofy gadgets that make no goddamn sense to have the Rangers getting sprayed down, so that way, like, they can continue to fight against this jellyfish without the fear of their suits melting or them dying through their costumes. So after the Rangers start to realize that they're like that attack really hit them, like they're like, hey man, we got to teleport to command center, we need to retreat, like no, like we're leaving. So the Rangers make their way back to the command center, and every single one of them still have their helmets on. I'm like, why is this happening? Why is this a thing? Like, don't tell me that every single one of these Rangers, like they had to reshoot this scene and they didn't use the actual actors, and like they're using doubles here, like, and the actual actors are doing like voiceover afterwards. Like, come on. That's what I was thinking the whole entire time. So Zordon figures out that the jellyfish has toxic spray that eats through even the ranger suits. Alpha has a chemical spray to fight that. Transition the viewing globe uh, shows us the jellyfish and putties are on the loose. The rangers teleport. So the jellyfish warriors go on and tell us that these rangers are facing off against super putties, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, okay, so the rangers have to go on and they need their thunder slinger things from the gung ho episode, because why did they even need that? And I'm like, okay, get your thunder slingers out and just blast these things away. And no, the Rangers just fight the Super Putties as if it's just normal putties and they beat them. And I am like, what is the difference in calling them Super Putties anymore? The Rangers just take them down anyways. It's freaking easy for them now. So I was just so upset by this episode, just because of that. So Alvin and Zordon realize the Rangers are la la la. Oh no 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 wait. Let's backpedal a little bit. So let's go back to the Power Rangers fight. So the jellyfish is a spray, it's toxic spray, and it destroys some bench. And so the jellyfish uses his weird goofy umbrella to just dodge weapons as he opens this weird goofy unique umbrella to his body, and he's dodging weapons. Then Jason tries to fight this jellyfish warrior while it teleports, and then the umbrella spins again, and all of a sudden the Rangers are in this just weirdly other dimension that seems to be very similar to the other dimension from the Bones episode. It seems like they just recycle that dimension because there's only so many dimensions you could use. So Alpha and Zordon realize the Rangers are just in another dimension, and so they're like, oh well, like, we can't contact him at this point. And I'm like, what was the point of this dialogue? So the jellyfish wants to become a better host to this dimension that he's in, and he takes his time to become this host of beating all the rangers, and he ends up becoming this almost like ghost of a being, and Zach is like, well, hey, I can't figure it out. What's going on with him? And so Billy ends up mentioning that the monster is going through a time phase, whatever that gobbledygook means, and I was just thinking, like, that seems just like a an explanation that like Gosei would use in like Megaforce. What's that, Ranger? Like, you were first a Black Ranger, now you're green? Well, there's a simple explanation for that. Cue transition. So, Billy recommends Zach need to use his battle axe to blast them down to get out of this dimension. And then here's where they transition to make my monster grow. The Zords end up getting called. Time. Jason tells Billy and Trini to blast their within their Zords. As also Zach just wings it on his own and just does this seemingly freeze attack. And I'm like, Jason didn't tell you to do that. What the like? People can just go on and just wing it and just do whatever they want, like as if it's just some real like not needing a leader organization of just team of whatever. People can just willy-nilly just do whatever they want as long as it makes sense. What do you need a leader for? I don't know. So so the Megazord is to be called a tin can, which I thought was a great smack talk line. The jellyfish teleports away. Jason calls for the power sword. Uh, Teleports away, meaning like it keeps like hopping from place to place. So Jason calls for the power sword. Rita Rita ends going, ooh, we lost again. And I'm like, that's like the way that she delivers it is just hilarious. The team parries the capsule just in time for Bulk and Skull to celebrate their victory of making their Bulk Witch. And so the Rangers are looking at Bulk and Skull. It's like, dude, we already buried the capsule. Like, you're not going to get this sandwich in there. And so Bulk ends up asking the Rangers, like, well, what about the future of sandwiches? And I'm just like, whatever, guys. And so Bulk drops the sandwich as well as Skull and just falls all over him. So Jason ends up turning to the Rangers and they end up stating how, like, man, whoever does go on and whoever does open this time capsule, hopefully, and then so they rattle off all this stuff that they like want world peace and they want to cure hunger and do every single Miss American pageant freaking thing that any one of those characters would have wished or hoped for, and uh, and as if they're all just Mother Teresing ourselves out of to let these credits roll to transition to the next following episode. Oh no! All right, now we're getting to the plague of the mantis. And man, I am really running low on battery for the cell phone. Oh my god! Heaven forbid this time around I had everything fully charged. Oh well, that's on me. So, Plague of the Mantis. So, we at the youth center have Trini getting lessons from Master Lee, and so Master Lee is going on and doing some movements here, and then goes on and stops Trini and says like, "Well, hey, like, how would I go on and how would I quiz you?" And so the answers that Trini ends up giving are about fair fighting and also about equal numbers. And I'm like, well, how is that just gonna like put a wrench into like Trini's philosophy of fighting? Because every time she fights Rita, like Rita goes on and just does whatever to win. So Master Lee goes on and gives Trini this actually praying mantis to study. And Bulk and Skull are immediately making fun of Master Lee's teachings, and but they still go on to steal the idea. Like, well, hey, how about we go on and find any bug or any insect or whatever, and we just tell people that, like, well, hey, like we're gonna train them in the martial arts of whatever this bug ends up being, which eventually ends up becoming the cockroach. So Bulk and Skull thinks that is a great idea and it'll make them profit. But Bulk and Skull have like no credentials as far as like a karate belt or anything. Plus, you have to be like a fifth degree black belt to really teach anybody or whatever. Some degree black belt, I'm not quite sure. Somebody can correct me in the comments if you know anything about karate. So, uh, okay, so, I don't know who this is. Oh, uh, so Skull is going on and he has a shake in his hand. And so he's going on and doing this weird karate move and he flings the shake from behind him and it hits Bulk. And so they run off after that. So to go on and find bugs. So Rita notices Trini is studying the the mantis. So that goes on and of course gives Rita a monster idea to uh assuming a mantis will prey on the enemies into victory. So Trini finds the technique difficult as her friends feel they will need to learn uh, from her at some point, and eventually that is to foreshadow what's going to go on in this episode. Trini has a mantis as Bulk and Skull have a cockroach kung fu. Alpha has detected something nearby uh, as Alpha is in the command center, and since Trini seems to be nearby the park, they end up going on and communicating her to alert her to uh, to the mantis. Uh, so Trini makes her way to find the mantis as the mantis teleports in. As Trini calls Zordon to alert the Rangers of a monster attack as she morphs by herself. So, and again, this is where I was assuming that this is one of the better Trini episodes. Mantis teleports when outnumbered, as when the rest of the Rangers come into fray here. The Mantis is like, oh, no, no, no. Like, you guys, like, you need to fight with honor, and I'm going to leave. So, Rita is hoping that this will coax Trini into a single bout to where Trini will get beaten by Mantis. Let me pause here for a minute. I need to go on and just be right back. Okay. So, Rita hopes that Mantis will be singling out Trini and defeating her at the command center. Trini has second or was second guessing uh, what they did and needs a viewing globe to give them some more information on Mantis. Mantis singled out Trini because of her experience with the uh, with the Mantis technique. So Trini will be trying to take in extra practice to prepare herself for the next upcoming battle. So Bulk and Skull are unprepared with cockroaches, with what they need to do besides just really just watch them at this point, to just try and figure out how they can incorporate some kind of karate technique in with what they're already doing. So, yeah, needed to switch to uh, these sunglasses because my white ones, the clear ones, I'm sorry, my clear ones just weren't doing them, just weren't getting it done for me. So I just switched to these ones just so we can just definitely just cut out uh, some uh, some more brightness with these eyes and eventually getting tension headaches. Anyways, so as Trini is going on and getting this extra practice done, Trini all of a sudden gets a message from who she thought is Master Lee, but instead is Mantis instead, to eventually go on to get an extra bit of practice in. So the team asks if Ernie had seen Trini, as he explains about Trini leaving after getting a note. So after the team read the note, they get suspicious and they're like, okay, we're going to follow up on this. So Trini continues to fight Mantis as the Rangers face off against the Putties. And Mantis decides that she is going to cheat and have Putties come in and face off against Trini, just kind of really outnumbering her. So really just having the Mantis just kind of give in and say like, well, hey, I'm Rita's monster, like I can cheat and do whatever I want. So Alpha and Zordon notice that Trini is outnumbered, so Zordon and Alpha call Jason, uh, and so the Rangers finally go on and then they morph because they're just facing off against Putties unmorphed. And also, I think at some point Kim is like, "Well, hey, we need to push on and get to Trini." So here's, of course, where we get the, uh, of course, Rita ends up make my monster grow. The Megazord ends up getting called. And here's where the Zords kind of ruin the story for me for this episode. 'Cause I'm like, man, like we had so many good things going on. But Jason also turns to Trini and is asking for guidance at some point to just kind of see where like he needs to best attack. And uh, and so I did like that aspect of this episode. Here we go. And I just already mentioned that. They give us a little swordplay and then Kaslice. Zordon congratulates the Rangers' victory and that Trini fought honorably when Mantis wouldn't even uh, And so the Rangers are going on and they're turning to Trini. It's like, well, you always have your team. Like, you should never go on fight alone and this and that. So there ends up being yet another news report of the Power Rangers and the monstrous thugs, which I got a good laugh at. Massily notices Trini is doing well. Bulk and Skull try and sell their roach foo, but no one cares. No one cares. Bulk and Skull even go further to demonstrate what they've learned to then just be a laughing stock. They break the jar of cockroaches, and after that, credits roll afterwards. I am feeling sick. I am really feeling sick. Um, we are on Return of an Old Friend. Whew. Let me pause here for just a second. All right. I apologize for the stopping and starting, but whew, I am just ugh. All right, so some adjustments here. So let's get into Return of an Old Friend, Part 1 and 2. Youth Center. We finally get Parents' Day with parents that are, again, Wish versions of the Rangers. Jason and Trini's dad are doing an arm wrestling, and it's pretty even. Skull is camcording the whole event as a ruckus is to seemingly tell us that Bulk and Skull's parents are coming, and we go on to have Ernie that ends up like kind of tripping and falling, and all of a sudden this pie starts to fly into the air, and as Bulk and his parents come into this get together, pie, cake, all on them. We see that the mother is just like covered in cake. So Kimberly's parents are both wearing pink, both the mother and father. So at the Pandora's Palace, Rita is talking to Babu, and Babu seems to know how important uh, parents are to the Rangers. So Finster knows about Dramol and his special ability to hypnotize through his armpits and go underground. So Scorpina tells Golar how they can uh, use Dramol to hypnotize the Rangers' parents and then teleport them to the other dimension and so on and so forth. Like goes into it a little bit with Goldar. So here is where we go on to have Kimberly reveal that her parents are going through a divorce. So I think Trini ends up finding Kimberly and it's asking like, well, "Hey, what's wrong? What's wrong with you?" And Kimberly's like, "Oh, well, my parents are going through a divorce. Like, I kind of blame myself." And so Trini's like, "Well, hey, your parents are both here and they're looking for you." And then Kimberly was like, "Oh, really? They are?" So as Kimberly and Trini make their way back to the youth center to have Kimberly meet up with her parents, they end up getting met by some putties instead. So Kimberly is like here's where she's going on and like saying that the putties are the party crashers and this and that and like they're ruining her day and uh so Alpha ends up calling for the other Rangers as like they don't even know what's going on because they're just inside the youth center. And so Alpha and Zordon have to call and let Jason the Rangers know, hey, yeah, there's an attack with putties going right outside youth center. It's like what, like you couldn't have been bothered to just crack open a window and see what's going on. So the Jamal will create chaos in the youth center as all of a sudden there seems to be some weird gas that ends up coming through the cracks of the ground. Because immediately when I just saw, like, at first just gas coming from the ground, I'm like, okay, this makes no sense. And then in a closer shot, you then realize that, like, the Dremel is putting cracks through the ground, through the floor, and having come up through the youth center's ground or floor. So I'm like, oh, okay, I buy into this. So Jason and Zach go on to try and face off against the putties with Kimberly and Trini. Uh, uh, Billy gets put under a spell, and this is in the youth center because he arrives there a little bit late. Because as Zach and Jason are going on and talking to Alpha and Zordon, they're like, well, hey, Billy's not here. And then when Billy does arrive, uh, he ends up getting hypnotized by the Dremel in the youth center as smoke just appears from the crack and hypnotizes him. So as Rita has Billy under her spell, she ends up going on and telling him to retrieve the dragon dagger. And I'm like, oh yeah, and work for Rita and be evil and stuff. That was my joke. So as the Rangers then return back to the youth center, hoping that their parents did uh, or hoping that the parents didn't see them fight the putties. And I'm like, no, they were getting teleported the whole time. They were so distracted with the chaos of what was going on in the youth center, they couldn't have been bothered to see you guys fight putties. So Billy makes his way to the command center, and here's the problem here. So when Billy makes his way to the command center, both Alpha and Zoran immediately look at him and they're like, yeah, there's something really off about Billy. And I'm like, dude, he has a lightning bolt on his forehead. How does it not tell you that there's something wrong with Billy? Like, also, like, Billy isn't the usual, like, talkative self, or even his usual, like, even, like, his body just looks different, the way he just kind of is standing and whatever. But, uh, also, it's just kind of funny how, like, Rita's like, uh, get the dragon dagger, get the dragon dagger, like just consistently, just over and over. And Billy's head, just get the dragon dagger. It's almost like I was thinking, like, man, they're doing the remix of Get the Dragon Dagger. So, anyways, Billy makes his way into the command center, and again, like there is just so easy ways to just turn Alpha off. It just pulls something out of the back of it, and like the robot just immediately just shuts off. So And then also I was like, man, why can't Alpha Alpha can take out like a whole group of putties on Alpha's own, but like, man, you get evil Rangers and like Alpha is just stymied. And then also, like at one point, they put a force field around Tommy in the command center. The second time he came in there, you would think that Alpha and Zordon would just be like, yeah, there's something wrong with Billy. Let's force field him and keep him contained. No, they didn't. They didn't go with that. They didn't go with that tack. So uh, so Alpha goes on, and there's this one uh, there's one bit of dialogue between Alpha and between Billy, which I thought was funny, where Alpha says no, and Billy says, "Oh yes," and I'm like, and I say Kool Aid Man. Uh, and then Billy ends up turning Alpha off just right after that. I'm like, man, like the Rangers can't like again, you can't figure out a way to not have like somebody figure out how to just turn Alpha off. So Zordon also tells Billy he's under the influence, which I thought was hilarious. I'm like, what is Billy's alcohol level, Zordon? Because I bring up that back. I recall that back uh, later on in this two parter. So often, no. I already said all of this also. Uh, but if anything, when Billy is evil here, like he's freaking dope. Like this is freaking awesome. Um, except for the whole like weird moment where Billy is like holding out his hands and then the dagger appears. That like I was like, well, like Tommy I guess had that happen to him where he just had his hands out and then the sort of darkness appears. Like for Billy, like he just holds out his hand and then the dragon dagger appears. I thought that was just kind of just didn't make sense to me. Like what button did Billy hit to just get the dragon dagger to appear in his hands? Just like that just seemed kind of weird. Um, covered all that. Uh, okay. Uh, do, do, do. Okay, so the Rangers return to the youth center to find their parents uh, gone, and Kimberly ends up finding this pink scarf that was her mother's, evidence that Rita has parent-napped the Rangers' parents. Uh, the Rangers are teleported to the command center with questions like, "Why didn't the parents leap to their doom?" That's my question. That's the question I had. But anyways, I think I already said that part also. Okay. Zordon knows that the parents of the Rangers are safe and that Billy is evil with the goal of stealing the Dragon Dagger. We have to re explain so much here. Read the goddamn script, people. Trini turned back on, or no, Trina tur- Trini turned back on Alpha as Jason asks about the Dramol monster because he has no clue what that is. They show on the viewing globe the monster and don't explain anything to the Rangers about it. They just say, okay, here's what this looks like. So, but Zordon still explains Rita's plan is to destroy everything with the Dragon Zord, so they need to recapture the Dragon Dagger back. So the Rangers morph and teleport to the Dark Dimension, and immediately there are some condescending things going on here because I'm like, oh, you can uh you can morph while being in the dark dimension. And then also when Billy appears, Billy morphs in the dark dimension. And I'm like, wait a minute, like what? Like Jason or Zach could not have gone on and decided to morph in the dark dimension, but oh, all these people can just go on and willy nilly just whatever they want, and heart's content, they could just freaking do whatever they want in the dark dimension. Like, man, so just Zach and Jason just comes off more as like, man, these characters were stupid, not like, oh, they couldn't morph in the dark dimension. And yeah, just it kind of ruins those episodes in a way. So the Rangers get to Billy too late, as Billy is too close to Goldar compared to them. The Rangers want Billy to fight it, and I'm like, how about give him the Dragon Dagger? Give him the freaking dagger. Hand it over there, Billy. Don't work out all your demons. Come on and give me that dagger. Come on. Slide it over there, buddy. So Goldar calls putties, and here's the thing. So during this whole putty fight, no, like Billy is just I think down on the ground at this point, and nobody like goes and like sees the dagger and grabs it. No, 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 no. Why would anybody go on and do that nonsense? So Goldar ends up going on and he goes to grab uh la, 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 la. uh I wanted to go on and make some kind of goofy joke about Billy going into AA meetings because again he's under the influence. Because eventually when he kind of breaks out of his spell, he's very confused, and so I wanted to make that joke, but if anything, it just kind of falls flat here. So, but now that Goldar has the dagger, uh, he gives the Rangers an ultimatum with an hourglass of time to trade their coins for the dagger and the parents. Billy even morphs in the dark dimension. The only stupid thing about the green candle, Goldar calls the Dragon Zord as Power Rangers call for Power Rangers. I mean Zords. God, I love that where they have to just appear and just Power Rangers. Just pow. Just power. Power Rangers. They call for their Zords. All right, we got a Megazord battle coming, or a something Zord coming. So immediately when the Rangers go into this fight, we have Jason that turns to everybody. It's like, well, hey, we need some more power. They just like they don't even like get anything rolling. They're just like, well, we're gonna need some more power. Um, Rangers destroy a building, and Rangers jump from out of their Megazord. The Rangers ask, or the Rangers make their way to the command center. So the Rangers ask Zordon what to do. Or no, wait. Let's backpedal. Um, so Goldar appears in front of the Rangers, and they tell, and he tells them that their time is up. And so he goes on, and he's say like, "Okay, give me the power coins." So the Rangers are like, "Well, we don't know what we should do," and so the Rangers go on and they communicate with Zordon to ask, like, "Well, hey Zordon, what should we do?" And Zordon's like, "Yeah, this is a sticky wicket, Rangers. Like, I don't know if I should go on and like answer this for you because technically, yeah, this is your parents, and you know what, like, yeah, this is a really tough decision." So, uh, so Goldar is to just want to go on and sweeten the deal, and so he's like, "Well, hey, Billy, I got a 6-pack." Jingle jangle. That's what I desperately just wanted to happen because again, under the influence thing was just a joke that I just kept wanting to just pop in here and just continue to just grill. So Goldar magics a dagger into a box for one by one the Rangers to give up their power coins. I loved when like Rangers start to go up there and then Kim goes up there and like Kimberly's talking and then Goldar says, "Silence! Give me the coin." I laughed at that. I had a good laughing at that one. And like as the Rangers kept going up to hand in their coin, like Goldar just rubbed it in their faces even more. "Oh, now I don't have this Ranger to deal with. Oh, now I don't have that Ranger. Oh, yeah, this is great. This is sweet." Um, Billy ends up going on and like, "This is all my fault," and Goldar doubles down uh as he won't return the Rangers' parents. Yeah, when they go on and they hand him all the coins, Golar's like, "Why would I give you your parents back? Like, I'm here to rule the world, baby." Like, no, like you're not getting your parents. You guys are stupid. You gave up your powers for no reason. It's like, who do you think I am? I'm freaking evil. I'm gonna just give you what you want? No. No siree. So but also like when I started to look at Goldar, because when you kind of look at the face of Goldar, like in some things you could see how Goldar is in like the normal Sentai footage to look. And then also when you see him in the American version, how his face is just drastically different. So it's very inconsistent, but oh well. Like I guess they're just like, well, like I don't think people are gonna notice, but I did. So so Zordon tells Alpha to teleport the Rangers so they can, through the viewing globe, see their parents. The Rangers are upset, of course. They got tricked, and Jason has a trump card because he didn't give them all of the power coins. We have one left, and of course, it is to be Tommy's. But they're like, well, yeah, about that. Like, Jason, you still have the dragon coin, but like, what good is that? Because Tommy doesn't have his power. But if anything, uh, Tommy then goes on to return at the youth center and just kind of look around, and like that's how like the following episode just like goes from to be continued to now continued. So they clickbait us with the old friend thing because Tommy does appear by the tail end of that last episode. But again, it's just a clickbaiting garbage. So, Command Center Jason clutches the power coin, realizing that there's nothing he can do. God dang it, I have this coin, but there's nothing I can do with it. I'm sure he was crying that day. I'm sure. He was just saddened. So, uh, so if anything now, the Rangers' only hope is Tommy. It's like Luke and Leia going on here. So, they need to bring Tommy back to the command center to explain to Tommy what he needs to do. So, Tommy is at the youth center. He gets teleported to the command center, and they off camera go on and explain everything to him. And then Tommy's like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." I'm like, "Dude, you just explained to him off camera what you guys needed him to do. F this nonsense." Like, if all the other times you've gone on and explained every little bit of freaking something, you off screen don't even give Tommy the time of day to get for him to get an explanation. What kind of garbage is this? Like, again, this is like just so backhanding Tommy, it's ridiculous. So that's why he's so freaking great, because of all the crap that he has to deal with compared to every other Ranger. Like, he gets freaking like so much garbage. So Rita is confused why Zordon needs Tommy, as he is a past Ranger. Like, so uh so Tommy is like, well, like, you know what, I'm in, like, whatever you guys want me to do, but like, I still have no power. So Zordon is willing to give up some of his own to give to Tommy to fuel Tommy, but it may be dangerous. And Tommy's like, dude, I agree. Like, I'm in. Like, whatever you guys want me to do, I'll do it. So, uh, so there's lightning that seems to be striking through the command center. That is to be funneling from Zordon to Tommy. And uh, so Tommy goes on to get the power from Zordon, and he doesn't even need to morph. Like, he all of a sudden just transforms into the Green Ranger, and then he teleports away to meet to face off against Goldar. So Goldar meets up with Tommy, and so he closes the box full of the power coins, and for them to have putties appear, Zordon continues to continue to lose power to again fulfill and siphon off Tommy, and so we start to see like there's just this just kind of mess all over Zordon's face temporarily during this time period. So, but the Rangers are just forced to watch on here. So Tommy then finally gets a surge of power while Jason tells Alpha to crank up the power. Yeah, just make it worse. Yeah, like Zordon's already given up so much already. So Tommy grabs his dagger to get zapped, and he then dragon flutes his dragon Zord, and so the dragon Zord then goes on to fight Goldar and Scorpina, and then Goldar and Scorpina realize, oh, like the morphing coins are unprotected. So Goldar and Scorpina combine weapons as Zordon is lost in the and then the Rangers try to retrieve Tommy, and so Goldar and Scorpina uh, leave facing off against the Dragon Zord again because like the coins are being unprotected. So the putties are going on and they're beating the crap out of Tommy. So Tommy goes to the power coins seconds before he ends up getting teleported away. And he's just like he's going for one last run. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get it! I'm gonna get the coins!" And then he just like, and he just throws himself onto the coins and he gets them. I'm like, "Yeah, like take notes, Jason. Take notes when trying to free your friends from Rita." Yeah, whatever. So, uh, Tommy returns to the command center to fall to the ground. Yeah, he is like he's donezo. He's zapped for power. So, uh, man, my notes just get like just jumbled and jumbled. Um, Rangers are grateful for what Tommy did. Alpha informs the Rangers that Tommy's readings are very low. So the Rangers decide to get together to revive Zordon by using their power coins, similar to what the movie does. So, except for they just gather around him and just do the whole just weird, goofy, just if I haven't said it before, they do that thing. It's true. So they call for their coins. They call for the dinosaurs of their coins, and Zordon ends up getting revived. Uh, Alpha is fighting its emotions and starting to cry, but it's a robot, so. But still, Billy wishes that their parents could have been brought back the exact same way as Zordon. Well, if wishes were fishes, then the sea would be empty with them. So Sarita still has Dramol as an ace up her sleeve. I keep having to go back to the whole ace up sleeve thing. So, as the command center goes off before, no, as the command center's alert goes off before they morph, Zordon reminds the Rangers of Dramol's hypnotizing spell, and so Trina at one point asks about Tommy, and Zach was like, "Hey, we just need to get to our parents." Like, and so they morph and then they leave, which I thought was just so funny. Just the way just Zach just like, "Well, hey man, I don't care. Let's get to our parents." So, da da do. Jamal appears, and four Rangers become uh under its spell. Uh, Tommy awakens electrically charged somehow. Alpha gives Tommy his coin back because uh, Tommy is just really upset and like he wants to help his friends and he's gonna morph out of there and uh, also like Kimberly ends up getting outnumbered by the evil zombie like Rangers and like they're grabbing her and she's trying to struggle away from them. How far are we? Oh, we are so close. We're like 3 pages left. Oh, we are at the home stretch, buddy. We are at the home stretch. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Whew, man. Um, let me just pause for a minute here. Okay, so now that Kim is being seemingly like grabbed by the evil Rangers, all of a sudden Tommy Morph appears and everything seems to be undone from Dramol as all of a sudden all the Rangers are completely fine again and Dramol grows, the Zords are called. Dramol pit sprays and makes all of a sudden just the clouds darker and Dramol blasts from his eyes and Megazord reboots and the Dragon Zord attacks and does some tail attacks, and then they put together the Mega Dragon uh, Megazord, and then they get Titanus in there, and they switch into the Ultra Zord, and then they of course fire everything, and Dramol is then killed after that. So the Rangers make their way back to the command center, and Zordon confirms the killing of Dramol uh, freed the Rangers' parents, and they're all excited, and they're like high fiving and hugging, and so they remember. Alpha tells the Rangers that the parents remember nothing about what happened to them, and their hope is that they can find a way to make Tommy's powers more of a permanent thing. So the Rangers hug their family as they make their way back to the youth center. Kim's parents are there for her regardless of their divorce, and Kim wants to introduce her parents to Tommy. Vulcan's skull plan a food fight. The principal gets a wig pie by Miss Appleby. Zach ends with a only as old as you feel line, and that's how they wrap this episode. Whew. Last episode, we're a good page and a half left. All right, so Andrew Grove High, Billy is shaken to the core by a bee. Zach and Kim tell Billy not to worry. Kim gets them all the time. It's the like I was to go on and in my brain be like, it's the curve of the grading system. Bogan Skull remind Billy B stands for bad, and also Skull's like, well, B also stands for bulk, I think, because neither one of them can spell. Uh, Rita's going on and being aware of like Billy like getting this B. It's like, oh wow, I feel so bad for him, and like she's very understanding. I feel in my brain. So as she constantly fails all the time, she can't be successful or the success that she wants. Uh, in most cases, Rita wants help Billy with really just gifting him with a monster. Fencer will make this horrible bee monster. Uh, the Rangers, when meeting up with Billy again, like, well, hey man, how about we go and how about we shoot hoops? How about you just kind of clear your head? And Billy's like, no, 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 I want to go on and I want to study. And so Trini's like, well, hey, I'll go with you and I'll help you study. So come to find out, Billy, when quizzed by Trini, he finds out that the one question that he missed was actually about bees itself. Kim and Zach and Jason shoot hoops uh, to write Tommy off, this episode by saying that he is at this karate competition. I say that, but then by the tail end of the episode, he just seemingly appears for reasons I don't quite get why. So they hope Billy doesn't overstudy. Goldar is prepping the putties before uh, the Grumble Bee. I'm just gonna call him B this whole thing. I gotta just let's get this one let's get this one done. The putties do the Wonder Woman lasso to Kim, Zach, and Jason, and they bizarrely rope force field them for some goofy reason. So Billy and Trini won't. Oh, I think I just kind of did this in hindsight. So let's backpedal here. So Billy and Trini teleport to command center as Zordon figures out the Rangers are tied up. Billy and Trini won't care about the Rangers being tied up because of the whole Tommy situation all over again. You know that you know what, writers, when you have this writing. Oh, I was trying to think of like if you have a situation where it feels like you need to tie up the Rangers, how about you do anything else? How about you go on and like you have the Rangers accidentally get like buried alive, and because I saw this in a Batman Brave and the Bold episode once, where Batman ends up getting buried alive, and so he astral projects, and like it makes a completely different episode than a normal Brave and the Bold episode. It's something weird and something goofy, but at least it's better than like what they tried to do. Or maybe you have a monster that just has magic tricks and he makes a ranger disappear. Something different. Um, Trini and Billy morph to deal with the bee. I think here's when I really start to mess up my notes because really I was to even start to doze off while watching this episode because I had just not slept for 2 days. So uh, Billy and Trini get blasted by bee venom, uh, and so Billy starts to fall over, and Trini is to even try to guide Billy into this jump, and he fails miserably at it. And then Trini ends up asking Billy, "It's like, well, hey, like, what's wrong with you?" And Billy's like, "Well, it's just because of the venom. I'm getting tired." So but there was also a really cool moment where Trini just climbs up this tree, and I thought that was pretty cool. So uh, we also would find that this bee has this ultrasonic attack that really weakens the Rangers to force them to retreat. So back at the command center, Billy needs to figure out a weakness of uh, of this monster because, of course, like its attacks are too strong. So Alpha's gonna go on to make a weapon, not called the Green Ranger. That's what I was thinking. Um, and then I was also thinking, like, why aren't Billy and Trini right now not thinking about how to free the others? And they go on and they try to free the others, and like they can't. Like they end up trying to grab onto the rope, and uh, for one reason or another, like they just can't free the Rangers, and so uh, Zordon ends up calling Billy and Trini to like, hey, like situations have worsened, and so Jason ends up telling the Trini and Billy, it's like, well, hey, you guys gotta go. So Billy and Trini morph again. So this time around, Billy and Trini do this kind of just double, like Superman, just kind of double fist move. between the two of them. Like they stack the two uh, hands side by side and just do this weird double fisting attack move that makes him look like Superman. So Billy gets the bee poison venom thing, and it's starting to even burn through his suit. Alpha, via some consoles in the command center, Alpha figures out a way to free Jason, Zach, and Trini from the ropes by using the computers and whatever to free the Rangers. And so once they do, they morph. So putties appear after that. Zach does a similar move that Tommy had gone on and done to putties. No, wait. So Zach goes on and does a move. And this seems like the exact same move that Tommy did when he was evil to two of the Power Rangers. We would go on and have uh said putty here. Jason or Zach goes on and takes his legs and like and puts it around one putty's head, and then now with his two arms he goes on and uh grabs the putty's head. And Tommy did this before to two rangers. I think it was Billy and some other ranger. It might have been Trini. And Tommy was successful at doing it at the simultaneous same time, and flipping him and the other Rangers, whereas Zach does it and he just one at a time's the putties and it doesn't quite work out. So it fails miserably. So the bee blasts and then the Rangers uh, the bee blasts the Rangers and then it tries to use the ultrasound on the Rangers. So Alpha goes on to figure out how to use the sprayer because he accidentally assembles it wrong. And then he ends up sending it to Billy. And so Billy ends up getting the spray, sprays the monster down, and then Jason ends up uh, hitting a sword onto the bee. Rita goes on to be like, okay, well, I gotta make my monster grow, and Zords are called. The Megazord hasn't even uh, formed yet, and we need more power. The Zord hasn't even become a thing yet, and it's like, we need more power. So the bee continues to sting the Megazord, and even Missile drop kicks it, and it ends up blasting the Megazord so good. Zach is asking to retreat. Billy doesn't want to give up. Jason uh, doesn't even call for the sword, and it appears, and they slice. Jason and Zach are sparring again as Tommy actually appears after the fact, because he needs to save his emergency uh, powers for like when it's like best to be used for him to be the Green Ranger. And uh, Billy made an A+ on his test, and now he's enrolled into the science club because that was a big thing. Bulk and Skull are going on, and they are actually cracking opening the books. at the tail end of this episode, and the Rangers are actually very surprised. They're like, wait a minute, like, Bulk and Skull, you're studying? And Bulk and Skull are like, yes, we are studying, because it seems that the principal wants us to study, or they're going to force tutors on us, and it's going to be from the 6 best students in the class. And so as they start to look around one another, they realize that there's 6 of them, and also like they do really good grades. So the Rangers all go on to then look at Bulk and Skull and like, okay, well, like we need to start helping you, and every single one of them try to help him out all simultaneously at the same time. That like Bulk and Skull get overwhelmed, and that's how they wrap up the episode in a very funny comedic way. So I'm gonna get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. Normally I'd have some kind of shtick here, but I'm just trying to get over whatever this is. It's probably a tension headache. Um, but anyways, thank you for listening to this. Thank you for going on and watching this video. And logically, I'm just gonna get the heck out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody. We did it. It happened.